the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, who rubbished the one man, one shilling, one vote mantra before the elections, is now saying he's a main proponent of that particular mantra. Speaking yesterday in church, the Deputy President said he will advocate, he continues to advocate, and it must be a debate that should be addressed, because he says if at all, you're paying more taxes, and then you should get more allocation of funds. And that will elicit mixed reactions across the country as to whether we are looking at again reviving the BBI, because that is something that the former President Uhuru Kenyatta and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga sought to address in the Building Bridges initiative that was dealt a major blow by the courts here in the country to the joy of the current sitting president, Dr. William Samoei Ruto. Now remember, you can engage with us on our social media platforms at Lookuptv across all social media platforms. You can as well watch this particular breakfast show on our Facebook and YouTube pages, just to keep keep tabs with whatever is happening in the country, what to expect, and what is the state of affairs in the country. Just so you know, one of the things that is taking center stage in the country at the moment is the proposals in the Finance Bill 2024. And in case you're yet to recover from the some of the implemented laws in the Finance Bill 2023, the Finance Bill 2024 is already out, and there are a raft of measures put in place or proposed that are likely to force Kenyans to part with even more in terms of tax. There's the issue of motor vehicle tax. There's the issue of initially bread was one of the essential items that was VAT zero rated, but that will not be the case anymore. What is likely to push the price of bread across the country. Now, that will also be forming part of a conversation this particular morning. What do you make of that particular proposal? So those proposals in the finance bill, there are many other proposals, but those are the key issues. I'd expect, as well we expect the cost of mobile money transactions, the cost of internet to go up. Of course, there's been the issue of slow internet across the continent. It has caused a lot of uproar in terms of people not being able to go about their daily businesses because of the issue of internet. It's not only in the country but as well across the continent, and that situation we hope will be addressed as soon as possible. Now on that note, we just take a brief breather. We'll be back with those making headlines in the local dailies. Oh, thank you very much for staying with us. We now look at what is making headlines on the local dailies, and I beg we begin with the Daily Nation on this 13th day of May 2024. We are almost mid-month now, and the top story is MPs let Linturi off the hook in probe. The impeachment motion had been overwhelmingly, of course, endorsed by 149 MPs against 36 who opposed that particular impeachment motion. And they say a special committee of the National Assembly has cleared Agriculture CS Mithika Linturi of any wrongdoing in the scandal regarding the sale of fake fertilizer to farmers, the national government subsidy under the national government subsidy program. A member of the committee who spoke to Nation claimed, rather they say a member of the committee who spoke to Nation claimed MPs were carefully selected to save Linturi. Now, that particular statement will not go well with a few, rather not a few, but millions of farmers across the country. And that story is on page 8 of the Daily Nation. They say committee saves Linturi's job in scandal over fake fertilizer. Just at a glance is that, the committee had 10 days to table its report. And of course, the committee is bound by the Constitution to report back to the House after 10 days of hearing and deliberation, and the time frame ended on Friday last week. The MPs then retreated to the Agile Grand Hotel in Mombasa to write its report ahead of the House, ahead of the special sitting of the House under Article 152(9) of the Kenyan Constitution, which states that if the Select Committee reports that it finds the allegations unsubstantiated, unsubstantiated. Rather, no further proceedings shall be taken, meaning the matter will end there and cannot be reintroduced in the life of the current parliament. That is how crucial that particular report is. And like they say, 7 of the 11 MPs voted against this particular impeachment motion. I mean, it depends on where you're sitting, but to millions of farmers, this could be a huge blow. Remember, the CS has been noting or saying that there was no fake fertilizer, or no fake fertilizer was distributed to farmers across the country, despite the fact that the president had earlier on said all the farmers who are sold fake fertilizer will be compensated, something that is yet to happen. Now, we'll be looking at that in a big conversation this morning, and of course follow up that story for you throughout the day as the National Assembly now debates, or rather, the committee tables its report before the National Assembly in a special sitting today. Now, apart from that, on the right bottom of the Daily Nation, they say Azimio threatens demonstrations over new tax proposals. They say we'll not sit back and watch Kenyans being burdened. That is in regards to the Finance Bill 2024, which is circulating on social media platforms, for Kenyans to as well go through it with various legislators led by Busia Senator Okia Okoiti Omtata, urging Kenyans to just have a look at it, go through the bill, and give their reviews. Now that story is on page 7, and they say forgotten hustlers. Opposition threatens to take to the streets. That is in regards to the finance bill. Now, they say during the 2022 campaigns, President RUTO promised Kenyans in his bottom-up economic model that the high cost of living would be history under him. Now, that hunger would be eradicated and thousands of jobs would be created for the jobless Kenyans. But barely 2 years after the Kenya Kwanza Alliance came to power, new taxes have been introduced. This will make life even harder for the so-called hustlers. A key constituency he capitalized on to win the presidency during the 2022 general election. Now, the controversial Finance Act 2023 was the first nail in the coffin, they say, to the hustlers under Dr. William Ruto, as it rolled a raft of punitive taxes and levies at the heart of the punishing taxes was the doubling of the VAT on most petroleum products. And like I said, there are various raft of proposals in income tax, the value added tax, like I've just read here, which will affect essential commodities for millions of Kenyans across the country. Now, you can read that story on page 7. You might be wondering why I'm dwelling, but that is a story that was done by one of my dons in campus, Mr. Collins Omulo. Now, on other stories, they say police and TSA back on roads as schools reopen, and they say 10,000 primary and secondary school learners who will not be reporting to school in Busia after their classrooms was destroyed. Now, that paints a picture of what I just said in terms of, the government said the schools that are still marooned with floods will have to, the students will have to wait until the situation is fully addressed. But, the question that will now arise is, how long will it take the government to address that particular situation? Because in Busia alone, that is especially in the Teso area, the Budalangi area, 10,000 students will not be starting or kickstarting their second term today because of the flooding situation with hundreds of schools still marooned across the country, still marooned with floods across the country. As we wrap up on the Daily Nation, is that on the back page they say Kenyan junior stars steal the show at Ngong Race Course. Remember, it was the international school sports stage competitions that was attended by President William Ruto yesterday. That saw different categories of girls in the under 18, under 15, and under 12, with Kenyan kids reigning supreme in all those races. You can read that story on page 34 and 35. Now on page 33, they talk about Arsenal taking tech race down to the wire. Of course, it is expected that the Premier League title will be decided in a week's time, because Arsenal after winning 1-0 against Manchester United yesterday. You don't want to say winning, but of course they won against a Team B. They had to park the bus against kids with their grandfather and their great-grandfather in Casemiro and Johnny Evans. And of course, they'll be now banking on their North London rivals Tottenham to win against Manchester City on Tuesday, which is tomorrow, to of course give them the upper hand as we head to the final day of the season. That will be next week on Sunday, to determine who will win the Premier League title this particular season. Now, on that note, we just jump straight to the Standard this morning. And the top story is gone with the floods. Now, as the raging waters subside, the toll they took on infrastructure is unimaginable, they say. The loss of life and damage to property, the highest in recent times, and it will take a while before life gets back to normal. That is what they say. That is a story on page 4 and 5. And they just paint a picture of the situation and what happened during the flooding period here in the country. And just so you know, the number of people who lost their lives, according to the Standard, is 228. But there are conflicting reports, because other reports do indicate that at least 257 people lost their lives to the raging waters. They say 72 people are still missing, 164 are injured, 58 roads destroyed, and at least 41,000 acres of crop was affected. Now, over 9,856 livestock was lost. That is a big blow to farmers across the country. And like I said, you can go through the that particular story on page 4 and 5. And just so you know, the government did pump around 10.6 billion shillings to respond to floods and the humanitarian crisis across the country, as various infrastructure was damaged by the floods that ravaged the country in the past 1.5 months or so. Now, you can go through that story, like I said, on page 4 and 5. They say back to school reality check. Parents, of course, were in a rush yesterday just to ensure that their kids do have everything they need as they go back to school for the second term. And now that the second term was delayed by 2 weeks, the Ministry of Education says it will extend the period for reopening by, they've not specifically said the amount of time the second term will be extended, but even as they seek to extend the second term, now the big question again is, high number of certain schools will reopen today, of course, but those marooned by floods will not be reopened now. We're not sure when those schools will be reopened. Now, when they determine the period of, the period of extending the second term, will they now calculate it from today, when various schools are resuming for their second, or reopening for their second term, or will they calculate it based on when the entire schools in the country will have reopened its doors for the second term? That is one thing that the Ministry of Education will most likely come out to address, just to ensure that all the students are at par in terms of syllabus coverage as they prepare for the national examinations that will kickstart in the third term, and more specifically in November. Now, as well, on page 7, they talk about the new taxes and the proposals in the Finance Bill 2024, and they say speak out against new taxes. Karua rails at leaders. That, of course, is like I said, will form basis of a conversation this particular morning. What do you make of the Finance Bill 2024 proposals that was released late last week, as Kenyans weigh in on the pros and cons of that particular bill? Again, it's the same story like alluded to in the Daily Nation. They say it's an acid test as MPs decide Linturi's fate. Agriculture CS Mythical Interior will today have his date with destiny as the Parliament votes on whether to impeach him or not. Like I said, we'll be looking at that, our conversation today. And of course, that wraps up our newspaper review this particular morning. But there's an interesting story on page 2, and they say buses of peril. Young learners' lives cut short in chilling tragedies. There have been various accidents across the country where school buses and vans have been involved in accidents. Remember, In March, 11 students of the Kenyatta University lost their lives after their bus, was involved in an accident in Maungu in Voi, Taita Taveta along the Mombasa-Nairobi highway. They've listed, a number of accidents that have happened, and from it you can get to, understand that at least 25 students or so have lost their lives in the recent past due to road carnages involving school buses. Now we wrap up the newspaper review with that, and on the back page is still the Arsenal story and what awaits them on the final day. Now that of course wraps up our newspaper review this particular morning. We now check a brief breather. We'll be back with the news making headlines this morning. Don't go away. Now, as schools prepare to reopen today following an announcement from President William RUTO, some schools that have been adversely affected by the heavy rains and flooding that displaced thousands across various parts of the country will have their opening delayed as the national and county multi-agency teams ensure that repairs are done to create a safe environment for students to resume learning. Martin Masharia paints a picture amid the school reopening rush today.
Schools prepare to reopen tomorrow following an announcement from President William RUTO. The situation remains dire for residents of Musoso and Kiarai, the villages in Kangema constituency, Murang'a County, who are still seeking refuge in Kiarai, the primary school, following landslides that rendered their homes unsafe. A visit to the affected villages revealed the devastating impact of landslides, with their homes bearing alarming cracks and farmlands ravaged by new streams and destruction. The displaced families are left with no choice but to seek shelter in the school's premises as their houses are no longer habitable. Kangema Member of Parliament Peter Kihungi has urgently appealed to the government to intervene and swiftly relocate the affected families to safer locations before schools reopen.
The solution is to relocate these people. And there is not a big land, it's around at most 30 acres, whereby we can see how His Excellency the President, His Excellency the Deputy President can see how we can work it out.
Meanwhile, in preparation for the upcoming school reopening amidst the rainy season, the West Pokot Disaster Management Department has taken proactive measures to prevent further tragedies caused by floods in water points such as rivers, dams and other water sources. Stakeholders from organizations including West Pokot Red Cross Team, Northern Rangelands Trust, World Vision and NDMA recently convened in a closed-door meeting in Kapenguria to address the looming disaster. During the meeting, officials issued a series of advisories for parents, learners and heads of schools in West Pokot region.
Naomba sana madereva, ukipeleka watoto wetu shule Jumatatu wakirudi, afadhali watoto hao walale kwa hiyo gari kwa hiyo siku moja, ama tafuta shule karibu pale watoto walale siku moja ili siku inayofuata hao watoto warudi salama salimini.
Also the mosquito nets, we are going to make sure that they get to the schools so that our children are also safe. But I think most importantly is just caution to our parents and also to the learners, even as they go to the schools. It is important to take caution before crossing the lagers and the seasonal rivers which are now flooded.
Also in preparation for the reopening of schools in northern eastern Kenya, plans have been set in motion to relocate internally displaced persons currently housed in schools' compounds to alternative camps. The Northeastern Region Commissioner John Otieno announced this initiative following a visit to Hyuga Girls Primary School, one of the institutions accommodating IDPs due to the recent flooding.
Wale ambao waliathiriwa kutokana na flooding walikuja wakapata makao hapa. Wale wananchi wameenda wakaishi huko, pia tumeweza kupata makao mbadala. Watatolewa kwa mashule, waweze kupelekwa kando, ndipo watoto wetu waweze kupata nafasi ya kusoma. Kwa hivyo tumeweka mkakati na kama Monday watoto wataweza kurudi kwa mashule.
Martin Masharia, Lookuptv.
Now, as relentless heavy rains persist across various regions of the nation, residents of Nyakach in Kisumu County, including women, children, and the elderly are facing immense distress. They are relying on makeshift camps erected by humanitarian rescue teams due to the overflow caused by the breaches of River Sendimiru and Lake Victoria. The population of flood victims is rapidly escalating, posing a growing concern. Maureen Bosire with more.
The aftermath of catastrophic flooding in Kenya has left women, children, and the aged devastated and staring at humanitarian crisis rescue camps in Nyakach, Kisumu. Area Chief West Nyakach Location Settle Watch say that 7 evacuation centers are currently overstretched. Watch is appealing to the well-wishers and the government to come to their aid before the situation gets worse, saying that the number of displaced persons is rising at an alarming rate.
At the moment at these evacuation centers, the one that we are having at our chief's camp here is very much overstretched. We have more than 300 people. Some are integrated and staying with the neighbors. One, the water and sanitation is very poor and it is broken. All the toilets are submerged. And the ones that we are having here are not enough for the population that is increasing every now and then. We appreciate whatever little that we've got from the county government, national government, and we are still appealing for more help.
Residents of Mbeere South have decried impassable roads worsened by sand harvesting along the Tana River. Kiambere Ward and parts of Mavuria Ward have been cut off from Kiritiri Market, whereby lorries get stuck along the Maram Road. They are accusing the county government and the local leadership of collecting taxes without focusing on the repair of the road.
Barabara ni mbaya. Tunakula shinda hapa. Mzee wa huku angalia barabara tafadhali. Bwana Lene Master, ni Lene Master. Angalia barabara tu. Nimesimama hapa kwa hii barabara masaa matatu. Na gari haijafika mahali nilikuwa napeleka watu.
The Council of Imams and Preachers of Kenya is now appealing to the government, non-governmental organizations, and well-wishers to increase their support to flood victims currently being hosted in 12 camps in Garissa County. Speaking at Young Muslim Secondary School while leading a distribution exercise of both food and non-food items to flood victims, the council's chairman, Garissa branch, Abdi Nasir Al-Abdi, said that flood victims in need of both food and non-food items is big.
Na tunaomba wahisani wa wote wakuja hapa wasaidie ile ambaye watu wameathirika Garissa mfuriko wa maji. Tunawaomba wahisani wafadhili wa wote ambaye wako na uwezo wa kusaidia hawa pale popote wako. Tulisikia kama yuko kambi 12. Sasa wasaidizi wa wahisani wote tunawaomba wasaidie waathiriwa hapa.
Maureen Bosire, Lookuptv.
Now, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has expressed his support for the county revenue sharing plan that had been put forward by former President Uhuru Kenyatta. Speaking at a church service in Embu County, Gachagua advocated for further fairness in distributing revenue to counties, particularly those with larger populations. He stressed that the government resources should be allocated based on population rather than landmass, emphasizing the significant population and tax contributions from residents of the Mount Kenya region.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua stressed that government resources should be allocated based on population rather than land mass, emphasizing the significant population and tax contribution from residents of the Mount Kenya region.
Rigathi Gachagua, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, is a believer and a proponent of one man, one vote, one shilling.
Gachagua remarked that Mount Kenya was receiving less funds despite having more resource-intensive projects and needs. Gachagua remarked that it was not fair and he would lead the campaign to bring fairness when sharing city of resources.
Resources are about people. The whole issue of resources is about people. The more you are, the more taxes you pay. And it goes without saying, the more taxes you pay, when it comes to sharing, you share more. And it's that way. And we have no apologies to make, because it cannot be a constituency like Roiro ambaye iko na watu almost 800,000 inapewa similar amount ya CDF with a constituency iko na watu 14,000.
Additionally, Gachagua remarked that he would also push for more Mount Kenya regions to be listed as beneficiaries of the Equalization Fund. The fund is distributed to marginalized counties to develop infrastructure and other key socioeconomic projects.
It is fairness. Let's be fair. And resources are about people. So that will be pushing that agenda. I agree on the Equalization Fund. We do have some areas in this region like Mbere, like Atwanyaga in Thika, like Kieni in Nyeri, like Deya in Kiambu, that literally are semi-arid and they have been forgotten. That is something we must work on. Dio tukubaliane.
Furthermore, Gachagua emphasized that government appointments should be extended to Embu County and the Mount Kenya region given their support for President William RUTO during the elections.
Ukipanda, si lazima uvune. Ukipanda lazima ufanye nini? You plant so that you harvest. Nyinyi mlipanda, mliinvest kwa serikali yetu. Kwa hivyo wakati ya kuvuna, lazima mvune. That is why we have all these appointments.
John Matava, Lookuptv.
Now, Chief Justice Martha Koome unveiled a new alternative system of sentencing petty offenders, which will see them compelled to plant trees instead of being locked in prison. Now, speaking during a tree planting initiative in Nanyuki, Koome revealed that the judiciary is keen on establishing a green justice system that will contribute to the country's ambitious targets to plant over 15 billion trees in the next few years.
Judiciary is also working very hard to lead the way. As you know, we have a whole court of equal status known as Environment and Land Court, which has been spearheading tree planting. Last year, they commemorated their 10 years anniversary by planting also some 10,000 trees. So what we are going to do also, following the directive by the government that every month, every ministry should plant trees, judiciary will come up with our own program led by our Environment and Land Court, directing us how we should be doing it. But we have been very deliberate and very intentional about planting trees, greening the judiciary. We call it greening the judiciary, where we have also adopted other methods of saving the environment, like solar, using solar power instead of using electricity, because that way we save on the money we pay electricity to do other things. We are also adopting what we are calling green justice sentencing. Instead of sentencing people to go to prison and lounge in the prison, we are sentencing them to community service, where they can do tree planting and where they can do cleaning the hospitals, cleaning the markets, painting the public offices. We are also partnering with the county governance so that they can supervise those who have been committed to community service.
Now that story wraps up our news highlights this particular morning, but remember we'll be having a conversation this morning surrounding not only the Finance Bill 2024 but also the debate, or rather the mantra of the 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote, which the Deputy President, like I said, who opposed that particular mantra before rising to power alongside President William RUTO, now says he is a key proponent and will be advocating for that, as he believes that the more taxes you pay, the more funds or rather money or revenue you should be the more revenue that will be allocated to you, or should be allocated to you. That will be after this short break. Don't go away.
Are you an SME looking for a media partner? Look no more, as Lookuptv got you covered for all your visibility and marketing needs. We at Lookuptv understand your business needs and want to work with you on your marketing journey, giving you solutions that will take you to the next level. Call us today on 0707 572 358 or send an email to sales@lookuptv.co.ke and kickstart this amazing journey. Welcome to Lookuptv, your official SME media partner.
Save a Life is a non-profit organization that has taken the front line in transforming lives in the entire country. So far, we have transformed life of over 100,000 people through our programs, which include medical support, youth empowerment, street family program, feeding program, and climate change. Join us today as we transform lives. As we always say, service to humanity is service to God. Save a life, transforming lives.
If you want to have a proper outlook of the economy, then you have to speak to the walls and gears of the integral businesses in the country.
And I want to be able to make the youths and everybody coming up in Kenya know that this is here locally.
Men and women in the thick of the bust of markets rising and falling, fighting to make their business decisions stick.
I've always lived in my career that I can never be late.
You need to train by yourself. You need to practice by yourself. Then from there you can compose yourself and give kind of services like this.
On season 2 of the Captain's Arena, we seek the inside of the minds, predict the shift in the markets, get inspiration to start and make sense of it all.
Just watch what everybody else is doing and just make sure you're giving back to the society.
Oof. This is the Captain's Arena.
Start your day with a workout routine, an exciting moment of exercise that is simple but powerful for your ultimate fitness. Build your strength, shape and body muscles with lunges, push-ups, squats, burpees, planks, dumbbells and more. Let's work out every Monday to Saturday from 6:30 a.m. on Fitness Zone, a one surefire way to attack your fitness regimen effectively.
Kipindi ni ukulima ni mali na Manjoro. Kumbuka, hapa ndipo unajifunza mambo mengi kuhusu ukulima. Kilimo ni uti wa mgongo wa nchi, na ukiwa na Njoro unajifunza. Kumbuka, angalia mwenyewe. Tunakuambia, ukitaka kujua tips za ukulima, ungana na sisi kwenye Lookuptv. Every Sunday unatukuta pale saa 10, tunakuonesha kuhusu ukulima. Ukulima wa mimea, ukulima wa ng'ombe, ukulima wa kuku, ukulima wa mbuzi na yote ambayo yanahusiana na ukulima. Kumbuka nini? Kipindi ni ukulima ni mali.
Well, a very good morning to you once again. In case you're joining us, this is the Morning Drift here on Lookuptv on this 13th day of May 2024. On a day that various, of course, topics or debates continue to elicit mixed reactions across the country. This is the issue of the one man, one shilling, one vote. The mantra that Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua said yesterday, he is a key proponent and he will be supporting that mantra. Just a few months ago, before the election in August 2022, he vehemently opposed the one man, one shilling, one vote mantra as advocated then by former President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Now, apart from that, Mithika Linturi, the agriculture CS today, will be, of course, having his day, a date with destiny, as the National Assembly listens, rather hears the report from the 11-member committee. And they already say the committee has already made its decision, with the Daily Nation this morning attributing to the fact that 7 MPs, 7 of the 11 members of the select committee, voting to, voting against the impeachment of the agriculture CS. Now, schools again will be reopening today, like I said, as well as the now hot topic in the country, the Finance Bill 2024. Now, joining me this particular morning is Mr. Eric Ragala. Very good morning to you, sir.
Thank you. Good morning. How have you been?
I've been great.
Asante.
Good to have you once again here on the Morning Drift.
Nashukuru sana.
Well, joining us as well is Joyce Wamahiu, who is an economist and, of course, a consultant on good governance. A very good morning to you.
Good morning to you. How are you?
I'm being great.
Today is a great morning. Of course, we are celebrating the beating of Manchester United by Arsenal. Twice in history for Arsenal to go to the home ground of Manchester United, they beat them. So we are celebrating today. It's a good morning.
I know Simba and Charles Kage, if at all you'd have been here, it'd be very excited.
They would feel offended.
But it's something I wouldn't really want to talk about because I'm a Manchester United fan. But fairs, Arsenal won, but against what side? Against young boys, teens, and of course, like I said, with their grandfather and great grandfather in Johnny Evans and Casemiro. But the title will be decided in a week's time. That is on Sunday next week. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's just begin our conversation now. And Mr. Regalo, to begin with you, I don't want to start with the Finance Bill 2024. I want to start with the one man, one shilling, one vote. And that is something that was addressed yesterday by Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Now, why the sudden change of heart by the DP?
Thank you. I'm quite confused, as you are confused, but I'm not confused not to understand what the DP is doing. It all goes to the Limuru meeting that is scheduled for Friday, the 17th. The Limuru meeting basically, and you can hear the cries of Mount Kenya, is inequality, not equity. Because if it is equity, then they have so much. If it is equity, then we should be talking of Marsabit counties, Wajir, Turkana. And if that is what we are talking of, inequality. Inequality basically is that child that feels that they give more to the society, so they want more, forgetting even our last born child who would still need food. My saying is, when we brought BBI, because I was one of the writers of BBI, we sat in numerous meetings. And almost the last meeting was done in Kiambu, where I gave out a document, and this document had the listing of the important things that I felt the country should have. One of the things that I felt the country should have was a prime minister. I also felt the country should be reduced into smaller counties, or rather smaller numbers of the counties. Basically, I had proposed 12 counties. 12 counties, merge some of them to actually 12. I had proposed equity distribution of resources, not equality. I had proposed one man, one vote, 1 shilling, 1 kilometer. Why 1 kilometer? I'm looking at the biggest county in Kenya, Turkana County. When you say 1 man, 1 shilling, then Turkana surely is so huge that you basically cannot reach everyone. Even the governor there has trouble to reaching each and everyone. The wards are as huge as a constituency. So my felt was even 1 kilometer was important, so that we open the areas, and so that the areas that are overpopulated, people can move to those areas and grow the place. I was a proponent of 1 man, 1 vote, 1 shilling, not 1 man, 1 vote, 1 shilling. That one is what in Swahili word says tunajipenda sana. Tunasahau Kenya ni kuna watu wengine pia, sisi peke yetu. So because you are more, when you go to South Africa, we have the Zulu community that is the most. They actually Zulu community take over KwaZulu Natal and they take over Johannesburg. These are 2 major provinces that encompasses a whole of South Africa. After that, South Africa basically has around 9 provinces. So there you have Northwest, Nini, all those. But these 2 provinces are basically even the most richest provinces around. And I've never heard South African Zulu say the Xhosa, you don't say Xhosa or Xhosa. You have to click a bit. The Xhosa community is one of the smallest community, but they produced a president, Mandela. But the Xhosa community did not suffer because the Zulu was the biggest community, in that the Zulu wanted, because they're the most, that they wanted resources given to them as much as they provide. Because if at all we are talking of provision, then South Africa Zulu provide more. You go to Nigeria, we have the other communities that produce more. The biggest community in Nigeria. You go to Sahel community in forgotten Mali and all of that. When you come to Kenya, when you go to Uganda, there's Baganda Kingdom. The Baganda people, they are most. When you come to Kenya, we now have the Kikuyu community that feels they are being left out, and to be honest, they are doing better than other communities. 1 man, 1 vote, 1 shilling may work, but you have to add 1 kilometer for those people that you feel are giving less, but we still need to improve them further. Why 1 man, 1 vote, 1 shilling coming? It is countering, to counter the Limuru 3. Limuru 1 was made to hit and beat up Oginga Odinga in 1967. The proponent of Limuru 1 was Tom Mboya. In 1967, this is where history is lost, that Kenya once had 9 vice presidents. When you ask a small kid, how many vice presidents do you have we ever had in Kenya? We forget there's a time we had a 9 vice presidents in Kenya. Okay? All provinces plus Oginga Odinga. Oginga Odinga resigned because of Limuru 1. Limuru 2 was created in 2012 to the community fighting Raila Odinga. This history people forget. The Raila Odinga was so bad then that they had to have a meeting to make sure the 5 to 6 million votes must go against Raila Odinga. And they created the Hague tag on Raila. We're remembering they are the people who wanted to go to Hague. Raila wanted to have a local tribunal. Then now we have a Limuru 3. Limuru 3 they are creating against RUTO. It's not against Gachagua. It's against RUTO. And why are they creating against RUTO? Because they feel RUTO has left the community. How could RUTO leave the community when they all voted RUTO? I'm saying all because 90% of them voted. How comes again now they feel RUTO has left the community? I mean, you should be having Tom Mboya 3 in Kisumu because they never voted RUTO. Okay. But now they're having Limuru 3 to fight RUTO. And the biggest mistake is now they are doing it too early.
Okay.
3 years before election, they're going to pour their souls out, and RUTO will read them like a yellow page ile kutafuta.
Okay, fair enough.
Address.
Fair enough. Mr. Davis, from where you sit, do you agree that with Mr. Agalo that Limuru 3 is indeed intended to fight President William Ruto, and like he says, they feel President Ruto has abandoned them? Is it too early?
It's not too early. Yes and no. One, again, to address the issue of, before I answer what you've just asked, to address this issue of the 1 shilling, 1 man, 1 vote, I think we should put into consideration several factors before we implement certain policies, like the population growth. We find that these places within the mountain area, the city, the county of Nairobi has high population, and the production of taxable income in these places is very high. And since this, for you to benefit from the returns from the government, you must have put some effort to get some food on the table. I'm not trying to water down the effort from Lake Victoria area where we have very minimal taxable income, but I'm trying to look into the bedroom of the taxes in Kenya. It's around Kiambu area, Nairobi area, and the peri-urban towns within Nairobi. So when the voices have been sent out during even the BBI, that we match the sharing that is generated back to Wajiko, it makes some sense. Why? Roads. Most of the infrastructure is destroyed in these areas because of high population. Look at the health benefits. Again, some of these facilities are overused and overstretched in these areas. So in essence, you know, you are trying to refund, not even to pay back. You are trying to refund what have been used by the Kenyans to generate that income that they want back. So in essence, it's not, it's not a Haluskan task to give members from areas that has high production of income to give them back some benefit. When we go to Rimuru 3, of course it's too early to show to show the cards that you want to pray to your enemy. Do not pray your cards close to your chest. RUTO historically has left down members from Mount Kenya. Other than bringing them down, he has also brought a lot of confusion. He has brought a lot of divisives, because today members from Nyeri are fighting their brothers from Murang'a. They feel that that great son from Madira, efforts from the great son of Madira are being watered down by a young man from Kiharu. So they feel that they came to the table when they were, they were one force. But then today we have issues of whereby Kiharu MP is deemed to be the next kingpin in the mountain, other than the son of Madera. So he's trying to bring a lot of divisive issues between even two brothers, and which is not going well. He has looked at the issues of the governors who have been taken to court because of issues of public embezzlement of funds. Most of them are from Mount Kenya. Look at the rights of Waitito, Wairia, etc. But one minute. So there are a lot of issues that Mount Kenya is feeling that the sitting president is not addressing vis-a-vis what was brought on the table. What was brought on the table was a bit high compared even to other regions. Look at where my brother Agalo comes from. What percentage of the votes were delivered from that area for pro and against? Are you getting it? Okay. So members from the Mount Kenya region feels they've not been rewarded enough. They've not been rewarded enough.
Brother, I want to disagree in totality with one notion that if you voted someone, then you have to be rewarded for your votes. Other Kenyans who never voted for that person did a very wrong thing and should starve to death. Secondly, brother, do you know that there was a lot of inequality when Kenya was formed? Inequality in terms of production. If that was done so that it makes Kenya better, then the people who are given that inequality per se ran with it wrongly. I would ask a question. Why is a fish company in Thika? So Thika will produce more tax, of course, against the Luo who have the fish, because everything will come to Thika. Why wouldn't we have a fish company in Kisumu? Why was that done if that was not inequality? So was that a state-managed thing to make Mount Kenya look more productive than others? I'm asking my question. Why is KVM in Thika? Are they the only people who can drive vehicles? Why was KVM not put in Mombasa then? Because everything comes from coast, finish the production there, bring the cars. Why do you have to bring everything to Thika? A skeleton of a vehicle running through Thika Road to Thika, then you can have it back to Mombasa to sell it. If you look at it that way, then we should start arguing. When you go back to 1 shilling, 1 vote, 1 whatever, we need to ask ourselves, why do we have Kenya Meat Commission in Athi River? Why can't you have Kenya Meat Commission in Garissa? Who have livestock? They have livestock. We don't have it. Why can't we have it there? Why do you have to bring all the way meat, all the way? The Somalis carrying meat in those lorries, they sit up there with cows inside the vehicle all the way to Thika. Why do you make cost very expensive? Okay. So if you ask that, then you realize if things have to be devolved, let's say things are devolved, we want to see if that cost of production will be as much as what you are saying. Why do you have Unga Group in Nairobi, whereas Mahindi natoka Trans Nzoia? Why can't you have Unga Group in Trans Nzoia? Mahindi toke pale, isiagiwe pale, ipakiwe pale, iletwe sasa. Why do you have to bring all the maize to Nairobi, then return it back to sell it in Kisumu? Now we need to ask ourselves. So when you bring 1 man, 1 vote, 1 shilling, you bring other issues that we also need to ask. Why do you have to bring fish company to Thika, whereas fish is coming from Migingo Island in Homa Bay?
Okay, fair enough. I'm coming to you.
So when you say our cost of production is less, what was the disadvantage that made our cost of production less, to give less to the exchequer? Because you took our fish and brought it here, so that it becomes very expensive.
Okay. This is because of the government policies. 1 minute. This is because of government policies. Look at the issue of the rural-urban migration. You know, there are some precedents that started uprolling this journey so that, you know, we can have now these repercussions that we have today. The rural-urban, it literally meant that people coming from Kinangop, where I come from, to come to Nairobi. Coming to Nairobi to the urbans of Thika, then we have now what we call the...
But that is not what we want to say. That's what we are looking at, brother, and we need to argue this. Why do we make some places productive? And we'll go back to American system. Why do you have California more productive than other places? New York, the highly taxed part in America. California, the most productive part that pays a lot of money to the America exchequer. Why? Because some areas were made to be agricultural. Okay. If Kisumu was going to produce fish, you let fish come. So even them, they are paying taxes directly from there, indirectly when their fish come here. When you take everything away, and then you needed to open other places for agriculture. You can't put companies in Trans Nzoia. You will kill the farms. What watalima wapi? So when that was done, that does not make one community feel that they pay more than others. Actually, others make them pay more if they don't know. Tukileta hiyo vitu huku, inafanya hiyo vitu tumeleta huku tax inalipo more because tumewaletea vitu. Si ati atulipi.
Okay, fair enough.
This feeling of at one community is paying more and carrying the burden of Kenya, si tukae na mind yetu tuone kama wata survive.
Okay, fair enough. Before we continue this conversation, I just want us to listen to what the Deputy President said yesterday.
Me, I'm against that thing. Don't add 1 kilometer.
Okay, fair enough. Let's just first of all listen into the DP yesterday speaking in Embu County in regards to the 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote, as well as he talked about the issue of equalization fund to some of the counties in the vast Mount Kenya region.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua stressed that government resources should be allocated based on population rather than land mass, emphasizing the significant population and tax contribution from residents of the Mount Kenya region.
Rigathi Gachagua, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, is a believer and a proponent of 1 man, 1 vote, 1 shilling.
Gachagua remarked that Mount Kenya was receiving less funds despite having more resource-intensive projects and needs. Gachagua remarked that it was not fair and he would lead the campaign to bring fairness when sharing CDF resources.
Resources are about people. The whole issue of resources is about people. The more you are, the more taxes you pay. It goes without saying, the more taxes you pay, when it comes to sharing, you share more. And it's that way. Na hiyo sisi tutasukuma na and we have no apologies to make, because it cannot be a constituency like Roiro ambaye iko na watu almost 800,000 inapewa similar amount ya CDF with a constituency iko na watu 14,000.
Additionally, Gachagua remarked that he would also push for more Mount Kenya regions to be listed as beneficiaries of the Equalization Fund. The fund is distributed to marginalized counties to develop infrastructure and other key socioeconomic projects.
It is fairness. Let's be fair. And resources are about people. So that will be pushing that agenda. I agree on Equalization Fund. We do have some areas in this region like Mbere, like Atwanyaga in Thika, like Kieni in Nyeri, like Deya in Kiambu, that literally are semi-arid and they have been forgotten. That is something we must work on. Dio tukubaliane.
Furthermore, Gachagua emphasized that government appointments should be extended to Embu County and the Mount Kenya region, given their support for President William RUTO during the elections.
Ukipanda, si lazima uvune. Ukipanda lazima ufanye nini? You plant so that you harvest. Nyinyi mlipanda, mliinvest kwa serikali yetu. Kwa hivyo wakati ya kuvuna, lazima mvune. That is why we have all these appointments.
John Matava, Lookuptv.
Well, that was Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua yesterday in Embu County. And just before we continue the conversation, a very good morning to you, Mr. Eric Mogai. I'm doing great. Pleasure having you around, man.
It's a pleasure. I don't know why temperatures are very heated.
It's very heated.
I have just come in when Rakal is almost punching you in the face.
The problem is the 1 man, 1 shilling, one vote mantra.
It's not your problem.
Of course.
He's treating you like this. We might need to change places. I can see temperatures around there are going to get very hot. But the viewer, let me first say good morning to
Okay.
the viewer. It's not usual for me to be late.
If you can hold on just kidogo, as they sort something out. Ragala, I want to come back to you. The reason as to why you are vehemently opposing this thing is you're basically basing your conversation on the issue of production, and why the people of Mount Kenya feel what you want to say entitled. Yes.
Entitled. They're feeling entitled because they feel they pay more taxes than others, and I want to put a notion that they don't pay more taxes than others. Actually, they are helped by others to pay that more tax, because Mount Kenya is not a producing county. If you want to say Mount Kenya is a productive place, then you will tell me Mera, because that is Mount Kenya. It's more productive. But Mera is ish because, I mean, where else does Mera go? Is it taken in Tanzania? Is it eaten in Britain? Some of these things we should to be open. Mount Kenya is more manufacturing than productive. And if they manufacture, then where do they get the raw material? Because most companies are here. If it is cotton, where do they get material for cotton? If it is sugar, where do they get material for sugar? If it's all the things they produce, they manufacture, the things that they manufacture, where are they produced from? If it is maize that comes to Unga Group, where does it come from? If you look at it in a bigger picture, then you realize there are other counties that actually support the production, the manufacturing part of Kenya. Okay? So in essence, we need to say Mount Kenya is blessed because it has more companies. It's a manufacturing area, but others are productive area. And people will go to where manufacturing is because source of employment is in manufacturing area. But when the people are living from the productive areas, then those productive area is where we get the raw material. So when you say you've given more than another part, so the other part, when they produce whatever they are producing, how will it reach you where you are? I mean, surely. Okay. Hapo hapo kwa one man one vote 1 shilling hapo niondoe, because that is a game to just manipulate people in Mount Kenya. The game was to fight the Limuru 3, and I'm telling you, whatever was wrong in one man one vote of Uhuru, why is it right with Gachagua today when he's talking about it? So today Gachagua is talking the Mount Kenya language, which Uhuru was not talking the other time. Do you see what I call in Kiswahili ndumakuwili? The ndumakuwili language?
Okay.
Fair. On this, I am out. And if it was go to referendum, I'll vote with the people of Isiolo. I'll vote with the people of James in Baringo. I'll vote with the people of Taveta in Taita Taveta County, the minority community who cannot voice their one man one vote 1 shilling, because them they are not productive in this country. Them they don't need rain. They only need rain. They don't need pumped water.
Okay.
They don't need roads. They don't need hospitals. They don't need bursary given much. All is needed is to come to Mount Kenya.
Okay, Mr. Mugai,
before you move it to Mr. Mugai, who just want to be roped into some discussion. Before we come to that, before we come to 1 minute, you know, he's been taking a lot of my time. When Mr. Gachagua talks of one man, one shilling, one vote, people from Mount Kenya, it is not precisely members from the Kikuyu community. We have Roiro town. Who are the residents of Roiro?
I am.
They are made up of several people. I don't know where we are getting the message. It is not about members from the Kikuyu community. It's about residents of an area. So residents of an area in Roiro and Juja, we also have members from Kamba community. You know, we also have other tribes. So in essence here, we are addressing the issues of the population vis-a-vis the monies that is taken to the county, not members from one tribe. You know, that was what we needed to clear.
But when it talks, it talks like what?
Fine. Mr. Mungai.
First, let me say good morning to the viewer. It's, you know, it's not usual for me to be late, but you know what the Bible says, that those that God loves, He gives.
You are
Thank you. You know, I have listened to the discussion, and one of the things that, excuse me, I would say is that when the Kikuyu or the Gema community meet, I have always wondered why it evokes a lot of emotions, it evokes a lot of bitterness, it evokes a lot of anger. When the Gema community says we need a portion of the national cake, there are headlines, people cannot sleep, it is hot everywhere. I do not understand
why. But one of the things I must say is that the Deputy President was spot on. And he was spot on in the fact that money must follow people.
Money must
follow people. And who are these people? Because the likelihood is to misinterpret that Gachagua meant that money must follow Kikuyus. That is not what the Deputy President meant. And let me give you an example. Pick a county, like Kiambu County. When you look at the resource allocation of Kiambu County and the members of parliament, what they get, including CDF, World Development Fund from counties, and many other parameters that point to money, vis-a-vis say a county like Lamu. If you look at a county like Kakamega, when you look at the number of voters, you look at Kiambu County and look at Kakamega, they go hand in hand, those two counties. Now what the Deputy President is saying is that money must follow the people, not landscapes. So if the people of Kiambu are going to benefit as a result of money following the population, equally the people of Kakamega will benefit. That is the reality of life. But you see, it's because it's the Deputy President that put it out across. We must find a way of fighting it and beating him to submission. But that's not the reality.
Why was it bad last time?
But even as you know, Ragalo says, why was it bad when Uhuru Kenyatta, former President Uhuru Kenyatta, was advocating for it? The Deputy President clearly said in Embu County yesterday we are having counties that receive almost similar amounts of money as, some counties, vast, counties in Mount Kenya region, yet they only have, the population is very small. Now, if at all you want to, allocate more funds to the counties in Mount Kenya, where does it leave these other counties? It means the allocation of revenue is more likely to go down, and is that fair from where you sit, really?
You see, that
because they are Kenyans too and they need services.
That is the misconception, and that is it's a huge misconception. We are not saying that Mount Kenya counties should get more money. That is not the discussion. The discussion is that the money must follow the people. That is the discussion, and that is why, if you listened carefully, we can sensationalize issues, and then there are facts. What are facts? What did the deputy president say? 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote. The deputy president did not say 1 Kikuyu, 1 shilling, 1 vote. That is not what he said. Now, are we saying that the person in Kakamega is not a man? He's 1 man. Are we saying that 1 man in Kakamega will not receive a shilling for every vote that he makes? That is in essence what we are saying.
My question is, bro.
Yes, please ask.
Let me talk to you. Why is it that the Luya nation in Kakamega have never brought 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote? We know very well.
It is the MPs who are sleeping.
Not MPs.
No.
Let me give you an answer. Let me give you an answer. When you give allocation fairly and look at even distribution and poverty level, how do we do allocation in Kenya? You look at the poverty level, so you give money according to. So when Moyale gets more money, what did Moyale do? They had the first surgery in Moyale sub-county hospital. It was even shown on TV. Has never been done. Why was it done? Because they were given allocations that was commensurate with what they need to do.
What you're talking about, let me answer.
Let me finish.
What you're talking about is equalization fund.
Okay,
let me finish.
We're coming to, because the deputy president touched on that.
It's all on allocation. They were given allocation that they could make their investments according to what they require. They did that. Malindi, they did the first neurosurgery last year, which has never been done in Malindi. Why? They got money and now they could do things better, and saying now we cannot go to Nairobi. Why are schools being built in other places and other things are being built? Do you know, brother, the cemented schools were found in Mount Kenya? When you go out of Mount Kenya, you will get mud, wall mud, and earth floor in other schools. Why? Because of the inequality that was there. Bro, I am a man of 2 places. I was born, brought up in Mount Kenya, and my ethnic line is from Nyanza. So I would go to Nyanza and see what is there, and I would come to Mount Kenya and see the inequality in distribution. So when you say, when Deputy President was talking, he talked about Ruiru, and he said Ruiru has about 800,000 people. I listened to the clip, and it gets the same money to another constituency that has 14,000. But what is the need in that other constituency? Have we checked the need? Do they have schools? Do they have roads? Do they have healthcare? Do they have? Okay, you understand? Okay. Let me give you an example. If you get sick now and you're in Ruiru, how many hospitals surrounds you? Several. KU is there. Kenyatta is just here. Gatundu is behind you. Thika is behind you. We've not even talked about Ruiru town itself. You get sick in Moyale. How many hospitals are around you? Tuache mchezo bwana.
No.
Tuache mchezo bwana. Tuache mchezo bwana.
Okay. I think we are blowing matters out of proportion here. Because if we had one Moses Wetangula writing saying that message of 1 man, 1 vote, 1 shilling, would we have a lot of emotions about it?
No.
It's not about who comes up with this statement. Nobody has been stopped from discussing any issue that touches on Wajiko. Here it's about the issue of 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote. It is not tribal. It is not regional.
It is regional. It is regional.
You see, the question is, and I want us, before you guys respond to this, I want us to listen to what President Uhuru Kenyatta said when he was still in power, because Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua was one of the guys who
was negative to it.
This particular mantra of 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote. Let's just listen to former President Uhuru Kenyatta, and then we continue this debate.
Indeed, in the recent past, in December of 1991,
it was established that the one-party system was a design error in our nationhood, and the advancement of the republic had outlived its usefulness, and we made renovations and changed the system. In 2007, we ran into another defect in our nation-building project, and we discovered that the politics of exclusion, in which the winner takes all, was not good for our country, and we were bold enough to change our constitution and expand the executive in order to accommodate the excluded. And indeed, when the former Prime Minister, Right Honorable Raila Odinga, and I shook hands on March 8th of 2018, it was because we saw a crack on the wall of our nation. We had run 2 elections that costed the country in excess of 1 trillion shillings. These losses made us see that we were staring at a nation divided right in the middle. But because we had disagreed respectfully, we knew that this was a mark of progress, and though it was difficult, the necessity, the reason, and recognition that we as Kenyans need each other, nation before self, as our forefathers had taught us, to come together reinforced our resolve. Therefore, again, I will continue to say that we need to come together and mend the crack on the wall of our nation, and this, I believe, is what necessitated the First Amendment to our Constitution. And although it encountered some legal obstacles, I say again today that BBI is just a dream deferred. One day, someday, it will happen. Because just as the country cannot survive ethnic majoritarianism and exclusion, just in the same breath, it cannot survive unfair and skewed representation. This is a design defect, and we must fix it. Fellow Kenyans, the Garden of the People, therefore, is not just a place of remembrance. It was gifted to us as a place where generations shall tell stories of where we have come from, where we are, and indeed where we are going. It is an arena of truth, narrated before God, verified by history, and reinforced by the acts of our founding fathers and each and every one of us as we move through life. And it is a convergence point between our past, our present. It must also, therefore, be our guide for the future.
Well, his former President Uhuru Kenyatta, and he said the BBI was just a dream deferred. One day it will come to pass. Now, Joyce, let's just start with you. The DP then opposed what former President Uhuru Kenyatta is talking about, and now is saying he's one of the proponents of this particular mantra, which was then part of what formed the basis of the major talking points in the BBI.
Yes.
Is he really being genuine, or is it just
Of course, from based on history, he's not being genuine. Him as an individual. Why?
Thank you.
Historically, what was the narrative behind this discussion? What was that narrative behind this discussion? The narrative behind this discussion was the issue of the dynasty. Remember what him and the president had been driving to Wajiko, that this country is being ruled by dynasties. So the narrative behind that statement created a lot of animosity between these countries, trying to show people that it is the essence of having the two dynasties in place. That's why we have economic meltdown. So him being the front runner yesterday, or even the whole of this week, or even last year, bringing up this topic, then he's not sincere, and it is bad manners to him. But the message here, what the former president said, lack of political exclusion. He's trying to address, let us include everybody, Let us not look into the individuals who are bringing up this narrative. It is the message. Because when we zero in on these individuals, then we are going to lose focus. And we should not lose focus. So my message today in the morning is, let us have that clarion call of one man, one sharing, one vote, irrespective of the tribe, the ethnicity, the geographical where you come from. To me, that is the message that office is sending, not the individual, because when we narrow down to know the individuals who are saying it, then we lose the point.
Now, fair enough. Mr. Mungai, because the DP not only touched on, the shareable revenue, he also touched on the equalization fund, and he said the region deserves a share of the equalization fund. He touched on regions like Mbere, Kieni, Ndeya that are literally semi-arid and have been forgotten. Now, the equalization fund for basic services that was appropriated is around 10.3 billion. Now, do these regions need these funds more than other parts, like the northern parts of the country, where this services, water, roads, the infrastructure is they're in dire need of this infrastructure, really.
Let me say something. The reason why the 1 shilling, 1 man, 1 vote brings a lot of temperature is because it is perceived to be a Mount Kenya issue. That's the reality. And the reality is that there is a general feeling, even when we went to the 2007 elections, if you recall, it was an issue of 41 then against 1.
True.
And the reason why there is so much, the room is so hot, people perhaps might want to bathe with cold water is because when one man, 1 shilling, 1 vote is mentioned, automatically it is perceived that a Kikuyu is going to benefit somewhere. And I say this on national TV because sometimes we love burying our head in the sand. But what's the reality, Ian? The reality is this. Number 1, we must start asking ourselves as a country some hard questions. When an MP in Ruiru is voted, and when an MP in Othaya is voted in by the population, and I'm just using those 2 issues for comparative because they are both in Mount Kenya. The MP for Ruiru has, in terms of per shilling, they get the same allocation in terms of CDF with the MP for Othaya. Now, when you look at Article 89 of the Constitution, and when you look at the issue of delimitation of boundaries, one of the constituencies that was supposed to be scrapped was Othaya constituency. Why? Because it had not reached the threshold to become a constituency when you divide the population of the country by the number of constituencies that are allowed by the Constitution. So when you look at Ruiru vis-a-vis Othaya, then you realize there is a problem. Because on one hand, Kengara, who is the MP for Ruiru, and I don't know, I can't recall the name of the MP for Othaya. Those 2 MPs sit in the same house and have an equal vote. But that's not actually the way it's supposed to be. When we speak about also 1 shilling, 1 man, 1 vote, we must also speak to the issue of representation. When I represent 500,000 people and I have the same vote as someone, a member of parliament from Garissa, who say has 10,000 people voting, there is no equality there in terms of representation. Because one of the tenets of the Constitution is the principle of fairness, justice, equity. Therefore, even as we speak about 1 shilling, 1 man, 1 vote, we must also speak to the issue of representation. And that is why I agree with the Deputy President. Secondly, on the issue of 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote, I have said, the reason why we shoot it down as a country is because it is perceived to be a Mount Kenya issue. But the truth is, it's not just a Mount Kenya issue. It is a country-wide issue where we are saying, because there is a counter-argument, by the way. The counter-argument is 1 mile.
Yes.
1 mile, 1 mile, 1 shilling.
Yes.
Because then there are counties like, say, Kajiado, that sometimes you can fit 3 constituencies in Mount Kenya and fit them in Kajiado. And those people would say, in Kajiado we don't have roads. So as you allocate 1 man 1 shilling there, also remember that us, we cover a wide geographical area and we need money. And why this discussion by the Deputy President is important is because it allows us to have a meaningful discussion. But let not the discussion disintegrate into tribal affairs simply because it is perceived that Kikuyus want more money. And by the way, there is no problem, and I say it openly, there is no problem with any tribe, whatever, getting money. There is no problem whatsoever.
Now, the reason as to why I talked about, insincerity from the Deputy President is that even earlier on, after they, took over office, and in the meeting in Sagana, he himself and the President, rebuffed MPs from Mount Kenya from having that
even
debate.
speaking.
Yes.
When Sagana 1 was created, just the other day when UDA formed the government, there was a chini ya maji, we call it, communication about BBI, and the MPs were actually on the sideline, told that it was not part of the discussion tomorrow, and they could not talk about it. Insincerity comes here. When we talk about representation, I was a proponent of BBI. I told you I wrote a document and gave out my document. One of the things that I remember when we had meetings in BBI was that we should create 70 constituencies. Majority of these constituencies were coming to Mount Kenya to sort out representation. Othaya was not really going to go. It was going to be represented. It was be part of representation. Actually, Kiambu was to get 6 more constituencies and other places. Do you know the most proponents of BBI was from Nyanza region? But do you know Nyanza was going to get only 2 constituencies? One in Homa Bay and one in Siaya. So Siaya, Alego, Usonga was to be divided. We have Usonga and Alego. Then one constituency were going to Homa Bay. But they never made noise. They were actually supporting their brothers to get representation. So who refused representation? It's their same brothers. They're now government spokesman had a press conference rebuffing BBI. The now Deputy President went around Kenya saying that one was going to make more seats for other people. So you wonder, those seats that were going to be made in Mount Kenya were not going to help Mount Kenya. Which other people are they talking about? And we are going to have 6 seats in Kiambu County. MP Ruiru was going to be divided some more.
True.
Is okay. So if I ask and say, now it is time to tell us it is important, then I see not the Kenya talking, now this is ethnicity talking. Now, why I'm saying that? Because when it was brought up nicely, it was embraced by other Kenyans. And it is true saying, Nyanza, Luo Nyanza, was going to get only 2 seats. One in Homa Bay, one in Siaya. Majority seats were going to Mount Kenya. Nobody was making noise. But they are the same people who refused it. If it was Nyanza refusing the BBI, they would have said, hawataki tuongezewe maviti. But they're the same people walikuwa nasema wanajiongezea maviti wao wadosi just because of 1 seat. There was going to be a prime minister seat. Either it was going to be Uhuru or it was going to be Raila, and Uhuru wanted to continue. And by that then, Uhuru was a black sheep in Mount Kenya. So they refused representation. Now my brother is talking of representation. So there is also ethnic majoritarianism.
I want to ask you one thing before you respond, Mr. Mungai. The issue of 1 man 1 shilling principle, it would best revenue allocation to the population.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Now, if you look at in terms of population, if we are looking at that, only 3 counties from Mount Kenya region would benefit heavily, and that is Kiambu, Nakuru, which is perceived to be in Rift Valley as well, and Meru County.
No, it's Mount Kenya.
Okay,
Nakuru
fair enough. And Meru County, because Nairobi would be, the biggest beneficiary, around 4.4 million people. Kiambu, Nakuru, only 3 counties, because Kakamega is there, 1.9, Bungoma, Kilifi, Machakos, Kisumu, 1.2, Uasin Gishu. So it really, paints as well a different picture of, it fully benefiting Mount Kenya region alone.
I understand, but that's why I said, it is a game now. It is not BBI. It is a game. Why I'm saying it is a game, it was going to benefit all.
We didn't have a problem with that. Explanations were done. I was in these meetings, bro. And I told you, I'm one of the people who wrote BBI. You even look at the document, you'll find my names. Uko nyuma, na siringi ni ukweli. But now the issue is, what we thought about. We thought about many things. We thought about representation, gave out 70 counties. The only part where BBI was wrong, it was brought by Uhuru Kenyatta. Right now, the guy who is talking about BBI, is he not executive? So is he not the one bringing it? So today it is right. The other time Uhuru brought it, it was wrong. But today the same executive is bringing it, we should be saying it is right. The issue I'm here talking about, it's the Unona chapter 6, integrity chapter. This is the problem I'm having with integrity. If it was wrong during Uhuru's time, why is it right during your time? Where is your integrity? Okay, you have no integrity. You have no integrity to tell us about BBI. You being the person who killed, who supported, who assisted in killing of BBI. Okay, and then ethnic majoritarianism. You take your majority as ethnic community. You now tell us we need to have this because you feel your people are complaining. And one of the solutions that was there, going to be there, and which we wanted was BBI, which you refused. Right now, because people are beating you, now you're bringing it up because of ethnic majoritarianism. You're using that. Ndio sasa utuambie we need it. Of course I know we need it, bro. Fair enough, we need it. Kisumu, we need it. Kilifi, we need it. Kakamega, we need it. But see, wewe utulete because wewe ni muongo.
Okay, fair enough. One would ask, are you really opposed to the mantra? Or are you opposed
yes,
to
I'm opposed to the person who is bringing it because he's not sincere.
Okay.
His integrity 6 in bringing BBI is 0.
Fair enough. Joyce, even as you respond, yes. Are we now staring at a situation where, you know, we might have the BBI conversation back?
I'm wondering why my very able brother Ragaro is bring matters very simple.
What did they put in the coffee?
I'm wondering what was
he's here to take his coffee.
The cook who did this coffee and gave Ragaro and gave me. It's the same coffee. You know, you've just mentioned Kakamega. Let's not even mention countries within Mount Kenya. Kakamega, Uasin Gishu.
Yes.
Even Bungoma.
Even Bungoma.
Kisumu as well.
Even Kilifi, even Kisumu.
Even my brother Ragaro. Do you want to tell me that residents from these counties, don't even mention Mount Kenya,
yes,
they should not benefit from?
We don't need it as long as Gachagua bringing it because he refused it. Where is the integrity that he knew and he refused it?
And we personalize this discussion.
Yeah, we should.
That is the reason why I asked you.
Yes,
that is the reason why I asked you, Mr. Regalo. Are you having an issue with the mantra itself or the DP?
We should refuse it from the person bringing it because he lied to Kenyans.
Let me ask you.
Why is it be good?
Okay, let me ask you. If someone else brought that debate, would you support it?
We'll be okay.
Well,
I find it as double
Ileto
speak
na
for my brother.
Mungatana.
I find it for my double speak for my brother because Kenyans need that one man, one sharing. Not individuals. Let us drop the issue of the DP himself. We need that vote of one man, one sharing, one vote. Full stop. Whether it is brought by Kamau, whether it's brought by Mugai, whether it's brought by Otieno, anybody, we need it. But for my able brother today, to personalize this discussion, to bring in the son of Madira, who've been battered right the center. No, it is wrong. This man has been crowbarred severally. Look at the man from Kiharu. The man from Kiharu is overtaking him, to be precise. Didi Nyoro is all over in this country, 47 counties. Yesterday he was in Pokot. Today we have narrowed down our able man from Madira, only now to be discussing issues from petty issues. Why? Because the rights of Agaragaro, who do not want peace with him. Let us give him peace, to be precise.
I have peace. Let me just 1 second. They said so long as BBI ineto na Raila, Nimbaya. I'm in Mount Kenya, bro. So even me, I have to do the same.
Okay, fine.
Raila, if so long as it was personal, so long as BBI inaletwa na Raila ni mbaya. Kwa nini inaletwa na huyu ni mzuri?
To me, if I did, let us have that
so long as ya Raila ni mbaya, hii pia ni mbaya.
Let her finish.
My brother, yeah.
Lazima tuambiane ukweli.
See, somebody should teach me today how to
just conclude.
Somebody should teach me how to discuss it, to talk in the rural language, so that I can talk to my brother Agaro.
Can you finish?
My brother Agaro, we want Kenyans to benefit from one man, 1 shilling, 1 vote.
So
Full stop.
Raila wanted it to be that way, but they refused because it is brought by Raila. So right now it is brought by this other person.
Should the mistakes of 2022 be discussed?
Yes. People have to be sincere na watu wache hii mchezo ya siasa mbaya. Si ilikuwa mbaya juu ya Raila hii BBI. So hii inaletwa na huyu sasa ni mzuri.
Okay, Mr. Regalo, fair enough. I want to ask you, Mr. Mungai, because you support the 1 man, 1 shilling, one vote mantra, correct? Now, from the current formula, which attributes 45% of population attributes to 45% of the allocation, basic equal share 25%, poverty 20%, land area 8%, and fiscal responsibility 2%. Where do you feel, in a couple of minutes, where do you feel is the problem with the current formula?
No, the current formula does not lay emphasis on the people.
Yes.
Because 45% as a measure that goes to the people is not a very equitable share, so to speak. And why I believe money should follow the people is for this reason. Number one, if you look at a constituency, say for instance like Ruiru, where you have a high population density, then even the number of doctors that are needed increase per individual, okay? When you look at sewage facilities, then you require more facilities to be able to uptake, the sewage, just simply by having a large population. And therefore, the sanitary conditions that you would find in Ruiru would be different from, say, when you go to a county like Kajiado, or any other county for that matter that is sparsely populated. And that is why I believe that money must always follow the people. But even as we discuss this, I read a lot of mischief. And I do not want to go into the nitty-gritties of Uhuru had brought this before, we rejected it. Politics is the art of timing. If you remember, Ian, in 2000 and was it 2003 or thereabout, President Moi Kibaki brought a referendum which was highly beaten by the likes of Kina Uhuru, and it failed. You remember that was when the Orange movement was formed.
205.
It was 205 and Banana, and yes, it failed miserably.
Yes.
But the same people, the same characters, past 2007, they are the same characters that came together and promulgated the 2010 Constitution. Why is that important? Because politics is the art of timing. Uhuru, for all his wisdom, was not able to calculate the correct timing for him to bring his agenda. He brought his agenda when the issue of dynasty and hustlers was already exacerbated, and people could not take it from him. He brought it at a time in Mount Kenya when people felt that he was bringing it so that he and his friend and his brother
Raila
could entrench themselves in power. And so the thing flopped. Why?
Okay,
because his timing was wrong. But why do I say that there is mischief in this? I read there is mischief in this because we have sort of diverted the country discourse from the taxes that are looming to things that are not part of to things that are not really necessary. Because I can tell you that 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote to marshal political support, to have anything meaningful on the political arena with regard to that will be very difficult. That I can tell you.
Fair enough. Yes. Okay, fair enough.
But I can tell you this government is very clever. The reason why we are discussing Gachagua went to a church and unprovoked, it was installation of a bishop.
Exactly.
And unprovoked, he came from nowhere with 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote, is to dissuade us from speaking
about taxes, 2024.
About taxes that are coming this June, not 2024, this June.
Fair enough. We're just taking a brief, breather, and then we'll come back and talk about the new taxes as well as the issue of agriculture CS Mythical Inturi, we will know is fed today in the National Assembly. That after there's a short break. Don't go away.
Kiangazi imedhiri sana katika area hii yetu ya Laikipia, Mara mingi sana katika Laikipia kuna wafugaji na kuna wakulima. Hakuna yule ambaye amesaidika, hata wakulima pia wajasaidika na wafugaji pia hawajasaidika. Lakini kwa siku ya leo tunasema kwamba RUTO Foundation imetusaidia sana, kwa sababu inalisha jamii ambaye hawana nguvu ya kupata lishe mahali moja au nyingine.
Tumekuwa tunalala hoi. Ukweli kabisa, mimi nasiamini. Hata mtu mwingine jinsi tumeleta hapo usiku akuwa amesimia, akuwa na siku 3 hajaumwa kitu. Kwa hivyo tunashukuru sana RUTO. Leo watoto wengi ameshiba.
Nashukuru Mungu kwa RUTO Foundation siku ya leo. Maana wamekuja at least manyumba 100 leo na 10 itaweza kunuka kitunguu jioni ya leo. Tulikuwa na njaa, si mchezo, ilikuwa na njaa, si ya ile ya kusema iko njaa.
Ya kwanza tumekuwa na watoto ambao wameshikwa na hata watu wazima na utapia mlo, na pia tukiangalia hii ni area ambayo imejaa watu ambao wana rely na mifugo, na mifugo mingi imeweza kuisha kwa sababu ya kiangazi, na tunashukuru sana the RUTO Foundation kwa msaada wao ambao wameweza. Asanteni sana.
Every time you play Lotto, 25% goes to the RUTO Foundation, which supports our fellow Kenyans through various causes. Thank you for your help. Together, we are changing lives.
Are you an SME looking for a media partner? Look no more, as Lookuptv got you covered for all your visibility and marketing needs. We at Lookuptv understand your business needs and want to work with you on your marketing journey, giving you solutions that will take you to the next level. Call us today on 0707 572 358 or send an email to sales@lookuptv.co.ke and kickstart this amazing journey. Welcome to Lookuptv, your official SME media partner.
Save a Life is a non-profit organization that has taken the front line in transforming lives in the entire country. So far, we have transformed life of over 100,000 people through our programs, which include medical support, youth empowerment, street family program, feeding program, and climate change. Join us today as we transform lives. As we always say, service to humanity is service to God. Save a life, transforming lives.
If you want to have a proper outlook of the economy, then you have to speak to the walls and gears of the integral businesses in the country.
And I want to be able to make the youths and everybody coming up in Kenya know that this is here locally.
Men and women in the thick of the bust of markets rising and falling, fighting to make their business decisions stick.
I've always lived in my career that I can never be late.
You need to train by yourself. You need to practice by yourself. Then from there you can compose yourself and give kind of services like this.
On season 2 of the Captain's Arena, we seek the inside of the minds, predict the shift in the markets, get inspiration to start, and make sense of it all.
Just watch what everybody else is doing and just make sure you're giving back to the society.
Oof. This is the Captain's Arena.
Well, thank you very much for staying with us. The conversation on the one man, one shilling, one vote was, a little bit heated, but let's now talk about something that is likely to affect you as a Kenyan. Of course, you and I, and including Mr. Regalo, Mr. Mungai, and Joyce as well. The issue of taxes, and I want to begin with you, Joyce.
Yes.
From your own assessment.
Yes.
it's likely to be, things are likely to get even tougher for the common man, for the hustler.
True.
What do you make of the new taxes to begin with? What is your assessment of it?
Things will be not only tougher. This is what Moses Masika Wetagula told us, that it will be nasty, messier, and very, very hard.
And
Why?
we have casualties.
And it have collaterals and casualties.
Casualties at the moment would be the hustlers.
Let us literally narrow down to, among us the proposed finance bill 2024. Let us narrow down to even 2 or 3. One, the motor vehicle tax. Eric Mugai here will tell me, will agree with me, that when it came to the Hustler Nation, it was all about Mama Boga and Mutu Boda Boda. And you bring in the proposed tax on income tax on the motor vehicle tax. That narrows down to 2.5% against a market value of a car. And these taxes will be collected by the insurer himself. Let us take our emotional brother Agaro here to be our calculator.
Yes.
And the value of
okay, sorry.
Yes, the value of a mama boga boda boda. Let's assume that a boda man has God has blessed him. Amenunua gari a Pro Box worth 600,000. So we are picking about 2.5% of 600,000. A simple maths about that. That's about 15,000. True. So we are saying that the Hustler Nation is proposing that for a boda boda and mama boga.
Actually, it's 12,000.
12,000. So it's about 15,000.
Okay.
So we are ramping on top of the insurance factor, that is about 4%. So we are rolling another 2.5%. So in essence, for a mama boga, you need 6.5%. Money is payable to the insurance company, and which will be paid on or before 5th of every month. Now, we have taken the lower limit of Mama Boga. Let us now take a higher limit of another Mama Boga called Mirio Manga. Last week on Thursday, Miri bought a new Range Rover, 2024 model.
Yes.
What's the market value?
I don't know.
That's about 48 million. Eric, pick your calculator. At 48 million times 2.5%. What do you get?
Wow.
That's about 900,000.
Yes. That is almost a million.
Now, when RUTO proposes, get the joke here.
So this guy pays lesser kuliko mama mboga.
Get the joke here.
Which is true.
Which is, we are not talking.
If you do mathematics, it's true.
We are literally addressing the real issues. That RUTO is proposing on Cap 473 of the Income Tax Act. He is proposing a motor vehicle tax of 2.5%, minimum 5,000, maximum 100,000. Get my message here for the purposes of Eric Mugai. That RUTO is charging a mama boga because average Kenyans can own a vehicle up to about 600,000. So RUTO is charging you 15,000, and for the rights of Mirio Manga, instead of 900,000, he is only picking 100,000 because the proposed law limits minimum 5,000, maximum 100,000. Are you getting it? So the richer people in Kenya, the top mama boga in this country are going to benefit. So, look at the helicopter tax. Allow me to conclude. Look at the helicopter tax. That have been exempted again in the 2024. So spare parts and services from the helicopter are free, have been exempted. So what will happen? Now, the mama boga will be funding for the activities of the super mama boga. Is that what we call fairness? Is that what we call equity? What is taxation? Taxation is the equalization whereby Ragaro pays relatively what Jos can pay. So in essence here we are finding a slap in the face for Wajiko and Mama Boga and Boda Boda, who literally woke up early morning, sang that popular Kikuyu song, that they'll wake up quite early in the morning to go and put a populist government so that that government can fix them. What is the percentage of the Hustler Nation? It's more than these super rich Kenyans. So in essence, you being Mama Boga in this country, you being Boda Boda man in this country, you'll be paying higher taxes than the super profits.
Okay.
Wow. The lady has done it very well, and that one shows inequality and equity gone down. How can a Pro Box person pay higher than a Range Rover Vogue person? Because if you pay 100,000 over a car of 40 million, and someone is paying 15,000 over a car of 600,000, that one is stealing from the pocket. But nothing to say. My issue goes back now to who owns more vehicles in Kenya. Now, if you want us to talk, we will talk. Most vehicles are in Mount Kenya, Nairobi region, let me say the Kenyan east side. When you pass Nakuru coming towards Nairobi and the whole of Mount Kenya, most vehicles in Kenya are around this region. So this region is going to suffer consequences of more taxation than any other region. What you call consumer taxation is going to be higher in this region than any other region. How will they survive with the same salary, with the same part of life?
And even as you respond, because now we are adding the motor vehicle tax to the road maintenance levy.
Yes.
That means more.
That's why I'm saying consumption tax is going to be more
high
in this region. And I want to be bluntly, more cars are not even in Nairobi. More cars come from Mount Kenya region. So the burden in Mount Kenya is going to be difficult because, and I told you, it's more consumption region. So my question is, basically, and to the same people of Mount Kenya, dear Mount Kenya, who is behind the drafting of this bill?
Is Ndindi Nyoro.
Is Kimani Kuria.
Kimani Kuria
from Molo.
Ndindi Nyoro.
So, and again, Mount Kenya people, especially, who will publish this and bring it down and make it better? It is Kiharu MP, Ndindi Nyoro, for Mount Kenya. Again, Mount Kenya and Wanyomba, who will table it in Parliament and push it in people's throat and support it? Mount Kenya. Who? Kimani Ichung'wa.
Majority leader.
Mount Kenya. Aren't you seeing? Mnajikaranga na mafuta yenu kutumia watu wenu wenyewe. Aren't you seeing that your people are being used and being pushed to hit you more? Will you say now it's Raila? Will you come back and cry on Raila sema kitu the way you do? And when he says something, tomorrow he says he wants to become an MCA of Alego Usonga, you say you are not fit to. You are only fit to become a chair of AU. Like my brother says here, Eric Mungai. He will support Raila going to AU, but he cannot support Raila being a president of Kenya. But he can ask for Raila for help when things are tough. But he's better off being president of AU, chairman of AU, but not president of Kenya. Okay. Brother, we've not even finished taxation issue. There is so much. You younger brothers, you and others now, the younger brothers, you like TikTok king and nini. Brace yourself, because that thing is back. 20%. The one that we removed is back. And it is back at 5%. It was called what?
The digital
people,
content tax.
Yes. And the same government told you they are going to offer you theater, like Kenya National Theatre, where you can do movies for free and many other things. Of course, if that theater was not going to happen, then it can happen on your phone. Create your own movie on TikTok.
True.
Okay. But if that was going to be free and it is not made, now why would you tax people on this other movie they can create on their phone? So the young guys, hii pesa mnatengenezanga kwa TikTok tunaikujia.
Fair enough.
Hii pesa ya TikTok tunaikujia.
I want to involve Mr. Mungai, because Mr. Mungai, there's already on the motor vehicle tax, there's already the insurance premiums that is around 4% now of the value of the vehicle. Now you're adding an additional 2.5% to the value of the vehicle. That takes it to 6.5%. Now, apart from that, now the insurer who is responsible to collect this particular tax, because it will be deducted upon the issuance of the insurance. if they fail to, deduct that money, then the penalty is 50% of the uncollected tax plus the actual amount of the uncollected tax. What is your view on this proposal, really?
Well, before I go to the tax proposals, which, by the way, in my considered opinion, are punitive, you might also be aware something you've not mentioned. If you don't have e-teams,
yes,
the fine is now proposed 2 million Kenya shillings. And this is mostly targeting now the small businesses, okay?
People who have offices like me, Kalek office.
Yes,
Any business I do in that office,
you must have it.
Na lazima nitume tax yangu kila jioni.
Bas.
No, walichange sasa ni kila mwezi. Ilikuwa kila jioni in 24 hours.
So, I mean, it's very punitive, okay? We are going to have a lot of Kenyans with a tag of 2 million on their head, which, by the way, they will never be able to pay. It would appear the government wants to jail everyone, but let me give this some background, because sometimes when we discuss issues of taxation, I am not really concerned about the fact that we want to raise money. I am concerned with the fact that the money is likely to be stolen. We have two types of, the way you used to go to school and you would study that there are several types of government. There is a bureaucracy, democracy, autocracy, and what have you. But I have studied and I've realized that there are also two types of government thieves. And if we don't study this in our country, we are going to be taxed, but we will never get commensurate services.
True.
The first type of thief is the macro thief. This is equivalent to Barnabas. This is the one that is highly loved by people, and when people are asked, they say release that one because that one is part of our community. Nemo Dhamaki, leave that one alone. That is the Barnabas, the macro thief. This thief, he does not steal from the common folk. This one steals from the macro pass. So he will steal from Eurobond. When we raise Eurobond, he will steal the whole of Eurobond. When it is Anglo leasing, Golden Bag, he will steal all foreign reserves belonging to the country. So this one does not really, it affects the day-to-day common man, but the common man doesn't feel the pinch directly. When you touch this thief, he retreats back to the community and he says, this one is our king, do not touch this one. The second type of thief, and this is important because, if we don't check this, then they might as well tax us to death and they'll steal all the money, is the micro thief. This is the Zakayo, the typical day-to-day Zakayo. This thief is very peculiar. He is the thief that makes sure that instead of fertilizer, he mixes donkey feces together with sand and sells to the people. This is the thief who all of a sudden is wearing a 10 million Kenya shillings watch or a 20 million Kenya shillings watch. So those are the type of thieves that we have. Now, every government that comes into place has either both of them or one of them. But you can tell that this one for President William
has
Ruto,
two of them.
No, this one actually they are not as sophisticated in terms of the macro stealing. They are more sophisticated into the micro level. That is why you find very frivolous and funny scandals. But having said that, we are living in times where the IMF is going to dictate majority of what we do. And forget about those people who've been flaunting getting 1 billion budget for advising us. It's a hogwash. At the end of the day, my brother Ian, we stole Eurobond money. We stole.
We did.
And people ate on our behalf. People ate money on my behalf. They ate money on behalf of Mungai, and they said, I am a member of your community, you should not complain. And it's true, I am not complaining. When my kinsman has eaten,
why would you?
Maybe I have also eaten. Why should I complain?
But you are bearing the brunt now.
Because we ate Eurobond money, can you imagine, Ian? When the Europeans started colonizing us, we had not stolen anything from them. They just came with the Bible and stole everything. What about when they have given us money and we have stolen? What do you think they are going to do to us?
I know. IMF is here. That's why they are here.
They will crucify you on the cross.
When they were plundering Africa, there is nothing we did to them. Can you imagine now when they gave us money?
And we plundered.
And we plundered and we ate. Those people are going to hang us.
On the cross.
I tell you for a fact, Ian,
Okay.
The taxes that you see here, because I can tell you, don't forget about what I heard Ndidi Nyoro say, that, you know, they will go to public participation, they will get the views of the public.
Some of them, that is just a formality.
What the public says, we will put. There is nothing that will be put. There is nothing like public.
Actually, the other one, we had public participation, even here in media, and we said we didn't want 16%. Did they listen?
Yes. So the document is going. That what they are doing is that it's a good thing we are having the discussion, but I can tell you, even after we pass the one for 2024. I can tell you next year
it will be worse.
Will even be worse.
Because now will be IBC coming.
Mimi nimefika mahali I say it is okay. Let them even tax our children. The more children you get, tax them. Let them tax everything. Why? Because when government officials were stealing money, we said they belong to our community. So the community must pay.
I agree.
The community must pay. So Ian, I'm saying Ian, when Mungai wears a coat like today, and you know I wore this tie so that government can see it and tax it. Tomorrow they should even tax my suit. When I buy a shoe, it should be taxed. When I go to a barber and kinyozi, that kinyozi must be taxed, and I must also be taxed for getting shaved. Why? Okay. Because when money was being stolen, I said they were stealing on behalf of my community.
If you want to
the
know
community must pay.
Thank you. If you want to know, our community went to the dogs. The public toilets were free. I know you didn't get it free. Ma'am, public toilets were free.
They were free.
You go to Kenya Railway Authority here,
yes.
Pale kupanda bogi, choo zilikuwa free. Muna travel, mnaenda Kisumu, bus station, mahali mnasimama, choo zilikuwa free. Nowadays, there is no free anything.
Without 10 shillings.
10 even ni kidogo siku hizi. Inalingana kama umepewa toilet paper ama hujapewa. So that's how they know shughuli gani unaenda kufanya. Inalingana na shughuli. So when we started paying toilet, that is the time we went. Ulikuwa unaenda Kenya bus pale bus station, airport, we call it airport, hapo Landis Road. Gari za kwenda Western, kulikuwa na public toilets, zilikuwa free. Sasa hakuna kitu ya free. That's why Mungai is saying we are ready. When things were happening in NYS and we were going for a guru's neck, walisema negaito in Kikuyu, negaito. Unaona? They used to say wacheni anaiba atulete. So when you look at the bigger picture, anaiba atulete. So right now we should not be making noise when paying taxes. Because ilibwa tukaletewa. Now we have money.
You have money.
We have money.
Pay.
We should be paying this money. So my issue is, how do we prudently then affect our life and come out of this quagmire? We need to talk to the government, and government need to talk to us, and we need to discuss the Lee Kuan Yew book, Third World to First World, the Singapore story. How did he start? Very simple. He hanged them. Go steal in China. They will not take you to parliament and decide whether you're going to be taken to the committee or you're going to be taken to the full house. You will be taken to arena, and one sharpshooter will do you justice, and people will be there waiting for that head to blast. Why are we happy with people who are plundering our country? When someone takes sand and mixes with whatever dung it is, and you take that sand to your loam soil, you've changed the structure of your soil automatically. That soil can never bring maize at used to, because umeweka changarawe mingi. It is not loam now. You remember the types of soil in agriculture? It becomes a sandy soil. So that sandy soil, ilikuwa unaweka mahindi, eka nduma sasa. So when we go that road, and still that person atiatenda apite parliament, arudi kwetu, apige wera, na tuseme ni ketu. And we remember now, the Meru people had already started, and I will say, walianza kusema, we are targeting their community. You see now the community, the way it comes. So if we want to play the game of Lee Kuan Yew, the Singapore story, Singapore in 1955, it was in the same stage of Kenya.
Singapore in 1955, they were loaned 30 million by Kenya. Brother, Kenya gave Singapore, and South Korea, I think South Korea was given 30 million by Kenya. And I remember our Peter Anyang' Nyong'o, an economist, PhD, is the one who wrote the paper in Singapore. We have to be honest with the story.
True.
Singapore is where it is because Anyang' Nyong'o wrote their development platform. You can see the way they got discipline. They took the paper and automatically disciplined themselves into the implementation of the paper. Did Anyang' Nyong'o do the same in Kenya? Yes. In the year 2007, Anyang' Nyong'o, Minister of Planning, we had Kenya Vision 2030, and hii inaitwa nini? Hii ya kuajiri ilikuwa inaitwa nini? Economic stimulus package. We wrote a stimulus package and Vision 2030 to streamline ourselves. That is the time our country jump started. Tuliruka pwa, economically tukaanza kuimprove because somehow we wanted to run with the planning ya Kenya. Then we lost it. The problem in Kenya si kitu ingine. Nilikwambia shida yetu ni chapter 6. Inaitwa nini? Integrity. Do we have, wewe mwenyewe umekubali uko na integrity? I'm pointing you. Yes or no? You know yourself. Wewe unajua uko na integrity? Hapana. Ukiingia ukiwa governor, uingie leo, unaenda kufanya kazi gani? Mimi naenda kukula. Ndio kwa maana unakuta MP, I'm given an example, ameajiri bodyguard brother-in-law wake, secretary sister yake, nani, you will find the governor's office is one house. That alone ni integrity. Okay. I saw the complaint juzi, ama ni leo ama ni jana, MP wa Mount Rift Valley Rongai. Someone had listed how the other complaint was Governor Meru. When the governor Meru was going to be removed, the complaint that was there is that everybody was from the family. Okay. So that is what we have. Your integrity kama hatuna, we are going nowhere. But mimi na support taxation. Hii sipingi, wacha ikuje because our country, we are paying iniquities. Shida zetu zilianza 2013. Hata mimi natoa Kibaki.
When the Auditor General in State House during anti-corruption conference asked the president, can we go to New York?
On his face.
Yes, can we go to New York and follow the paper trail because the money is not here and find out where the money is? What did the gentleman say? He laughed. You want to go to New York? That's what he said. You want to go to New York? New York to do what? So why are we complaining, Ian?
Okay, but
why are we complaining?
Let me just ask.
We ate the money. Me as Mungai, on behalf of the Mount Kenya community.
I ate.
We ate money.
Yes, we
have money to pay taxes.
Okay, now let me ask you, gentlemen and lady, even as you wrap up the conversation surrounding taxes, there are many other new introductions. There's the issue of, for example, bread, which was zero rated in terms of VAT. That will no longer be the case. You'll have to part with more. Banking services are going to be a bit expensive because they're no longer
even your phone
VAT
now.
exempt.
M-Pesa.
The M-Pesa transactions, the issue of internet and all that. From where you guys sit, starting with you, Joyce.
Yes.
What message do you have for the government, really?
Way back in 2002, prior to Kibaki coming over in RA 2003 up to the month of March, I was at KRA and we surpassed our target. Why? Because the taxation by then was voluntary. When Kibaki came in, implementing what Anyang' Nyong'o wrote,
thank you again,
brought in the issue of voluntary taxation, whereby you did not impose taxes on individuals, on Kenyans. You requested Kenyans to come on board. Tell me, what do you want to pay? What do you want to pay? And allow me to tell you this, Ian. We broke the banks because Kenyans were afraid with that taxation policy. Today, why do you have an issue with taxation? Everybody wants to pay taxes. And even if you do not want to pay, you are being forced to pay directly or indirectly. Look at what is happening on the tax exemption that was issued last year. Anthony Mohora is too busy campaigning for UDA. Then he gives a tax moratorium period of 6 months and asks Kenyans only to pay taxes, the principal taxes, and he will only give waiver on the penalty and interest. But the principal tax is an assumed tax. It is not the actual tax. Allow me to break it down into an ordinary language.
Okay.
During this period when we had the floods, a lot of businesses were destroyed. So what KRA did was to assume, to do an assessment on taxes on an assumed. That initially you had 10 houses and each house was bringing in say 5,000. So you bang on 10% again is the same. So when you compute that tax for that Kenyan, you are forcing that Kenyan to pay that tax. But in essence, what is on the ground is very, very different.
Zero.
So instead of coming down to the Kenyans and requesting to have a session with the Kenyans, RUTO should ask the Kenyans, what do you feel is comfortable? Do you want to deal with the affordable housing levy that is still that has still have been increased again?
Yes. By the way,
it has been increased now from 2.2 to 2.5. Already there's an increment. So in essence, what we have is what we call the bad tax policies. The bad tax policies will have, an implication, bad economic implication on this government. Now, instead of production of income, this year, up to the month of April, 27 companies had closed shop. Why had they closed the shop? Because it is becoming quite expensive, literally, to run taxation in this country. We have several due dates that have been requested by KRA to be implemented. We have honor before 9th of every month when you do submit your pay as you want. Now, on this one, on the Motor Vehicle Act, they say honor before 5th. No, within the 5th day. So we are going to employ more employees to manage your taxes, not to bring income to the company. I don't know where you're getting the message. So that you're changing the company systems so that they incorporate the several taxation measures that have been brought up. Allow me to say this. The banks are feeling the heat. Most of these are big companies. You need to have more than a third of the employees running the taxation. Who has that money to run down the payrolls? Who has that money to keep on changing the several due dates? So it is becoming unmanageable when it comes to taxation in this country. Even if, although we have the provision for public participation, and like Mogai said, it will be a peer activity, returning the public participation to Onevira Itakua. Kenyans now this time around. Last year, when they did the Finance Bill 2023, about 100 people moved to court. This year, 2024, it will be about 10,000 Kenyans moving to court to stop this process.
No.
Why do you need to start a process that will be cumbersome for you to manage? Look at the doctors. They went for 60 days. President alisema hatuna pesa. It was only last week alisema alipata pesa. Alipata pesa wapi? So why start a war that you cannot manage? Why start a taxation battle that is hard to manage? Instead of doing all that drama and being English, bring it down to the common man 90. How much do you want to pay me as a radroad?
Okay.
Don't tell me to give you the 10%. Ni pesa gapi wewe mwenyewe kama radroad unaweza nilipa? Stop computerizing everything so that you can manage this taxation.
Okay, to Mr. Mungai, and it's interesting because you've spoken about landlords and KRA, of course, sort of cautioned landlords who their rates remain stagnant.
Yes.
And as you respond to that, Mr. Mungai, there's also the proposal to introduce an eco-levy, which, for example, office machines, you'll have to, pay at least 98 shillings per unit. There's, arts, accessories, telephones, 225 shillings per unit, microphones, speakers, monitors and projectors, 1,275 per unit. What do you make of this?
Well, I think government is trying to look for money. That's the bottom line. In fact, under the eco-levy, there are diapers.
Yes, exactly. They say that will also be subject to
people
the
must,
98 per unit.
People must be very careful what they do behind closed doors. Because this government is relentless. They must get what they must get. And you know what is the most surprising thing about this country? I know you want me to go into the specific of the tax,
But today I'm not really interested in the specifics. I just feel that this government, or rather the setup that we are in, even when we talk of God, I am slowly being persuaded that there is how do I put it? One of the politicians, I think 2 days or yesterday, thank God for a new Range Rover. 40 million plus Kenya shillings Range Rover. And I saw how after the hustling and everything, God came through for them. And you kind of tend to wonder, there is a God of the politicians, there is a God of the middle class, and there is a God of the poor. So the God of the politician is a rewarding God.
A more faithful God.
He is very faithful. He does not mince his blessings.
He's abundant.
He blesses you with a Range Rover.
Yes.
He blesses you with a 10 million watch. He blesses you with a 20 million belt. He blesses you with top of the range shoe. I mean, this is a God who we need to know where that church is, because even I as Mungai, I want to go to that church, because that is a God who delivers. There is a God of the middle class, and this God has specialized in making sure that the pockets of the middle class are always raided, because either their houses are being demolished, or their houses are falling down, or when we are raiding payslips, they are the guys that go to be raided. This is a deity who, for the sake of the middle class, sometimes he is there because they are middle class and they're enjoying life, but most of the times when government comes to knock, he appears to hide. And then there is a God of the poor, still in the same country. Now this God of the poor
is ruthless,
is merciless, so to speak.
Ruthless.
Yes. Because
he cares.
Their houses will be swept by water.
Yes.
They will die of starvation. It is their children who will not go to school.
Bulldozers will go where they live
and kill them.
Live and go with their houses.
This is a God, so to speak, who has failed the poor in this country. And I always wonder and ask myself whether the three cadres that I have mentioned, whether we really worship the same God, because it appears the first God that I mentioned really delivers. And why that is important is because when we discuss about the issues of taxation, you can tell these taxation measures do not touch the rich.
No.
When you talk about increasing cost of bread, no one cares. The rich people don't care whether you charge bread 1,000 or whatever. They go to high-end places where tea itself is 1,000 shillings. So even if you are to put money on bread, they don't care. We are talking about taxation measures of diapers, under the eco levy. Who are busy producing children in this country? It is the poor and the middle class. The rich only get 1 child or 2 children for that matter.
That's it.
So these taxes, when we speak about them, they are really going to hurt the same poor people who, by the way, and that is why I am not feeling sometimes anything, who, by the way, when the big men steal and praise God for blessing them, we say they are part of us. They are part of our community. Why are you targeting members of my community? Why? So I tell you, the chickens finally, in one way or another, have come home to roost.
Fair enough.
Eco-tax is affecting the most poorest. Do you know people wash diapers and dry them?
And it's sad, really.
Yes, it happens. Do you know people buy the paper, the upper paper on top, which sieves everything inside. So you rarua the top, you dry it, you get another paper, and that paper basically, it's this one for paper bags nowadays, which we call Uhuru bag because it came with Uhuru. You cut it nicely and unashonelea. So that other one that takes moisture and fluid dries up and you reuse diapers. That's happening. I'm putting the language of a poor person in Kenya, what they do, because napkins are almost never there today. The napkins that us used, the guys coming now, they are very expensive. If you quantify A diaper, one diaper is around 30 to 50 shilling, depend on which make. But the lowest, cheapest is 30 bob, one diaper. So if your child is going to toilet 5 times in a day, I'm giving an example.
That's
so
about
you're using 150 shillings per day,
per day,
which is a real story. So your child, and I told you, when you realized, I'm going back to the chore, when you realize the public toilets were taxed, now you realize even we are in trouble. That kid, if akisusu, that is 30 bob. Akipoop, that's 30 bob to the lowest.
Every time they go to the loo, government gets money.
Yes. So that's how expensive the eco tax is. When you hear it is going to tax diapers. So anytime, bro, you will reach there. Anytime your child will susu, that time you'll be using around 70, 80,000, 80 shillings.
I'm rethinking my choice.
You're rethinking
to calculate, and I'm like,
if you don't have children, my friend,
drop it.
Drop it. So I'm giving you the real calculation. So what we are doing here, the poor person is going to go innermost to get around 50 to 100 shillings per day on diaper, vis-a-vis taxation to the government. My brother has brought it nicely, how poor people keep suffering even when there are calamities in Kenya. If there was floods in Westlands, what would have happened? There are riparian in Westlands. When you do a first drop, when you're taking Kiambu Road, the first drop as you're coming down, on your right, okay, on your right, there are houses there. They were all in water. Were they not on riparian? Nobody will bring them down. Actually, everyone sees them when you pass. No one brings them down. Do you know in Runda there is one of the sophisticated hotels in Kenya that is in Runda on riparian? No one can bring that hotel down. It has an English name. I don't know which name.
The God they are serving is different. The God they are serving is different.
Yes. Do you know along Riverside Drive, there's a hotel somewhere?
Yes.
Just on riparian, actually built on riparian. That hotel, no one will bring it down. It also has an English name. Go look for it. But when a poor man in Mathare, who has nothing to do but just put up a small thing to put his head, is quantified being in a riparian, he's removed. The gods they serve is different.
Okay.
So in service delivery, vis-a-vis taxation, these two things are different.
Different.
Do you know there are roads in estates that are better than a road in the slums?
Very true.
And do you know the government makes sure that road does not get potholes? Do other people in the slum need the same services? They do.
They do.
Why is it not coming? And I've given you an example. No wonder some of them recycle Pampers.
No.
I'm not using the name Pampers, it's just a synonymous. But let me use the name, what do you call it? Diapers. So if you hear a diaper is 200 bob, and we don't have nappies today, how much are going to pay? But do you know, under the women's conference in UDA campaign, RUTO said, diapers will be given for free. Immediately you pachu, you are given diapers for free for how many months? Why are you taxing diapers that you are supposed to give out for free to women? What happened? What happened?
No. The Lord of double speak.
The Lord of double speak.
Yes.
So the Lord that we pray is also different. There is one Lord that allows you to break the law of God, 10 commandment, commandment number 6. But others, if they break the law, commandment number 6 is wrong. But there is different gods here. That's why I'm saying the gods are different.
Okay, now,
I don't know commandment number 6. You know better.
I want us to shift gears a little bit, even as we come to the tail end of this particular conversation. And I'll start with you, Joyce.
Yes.
Now, President William Ruto, campaigning, one of his key pillars as the president is food security. That's right. Now, there's the issue of fake fertilizer. Now, the president admitted there was fake fertilizer, and in fact, while in Eldoret, his home county, he said those who are sold fake fertilizer will be compensated.
Will carry their own cross.
And those who will be found culpable will carry their own cross.
Yes.
By the way, some of the farmers are yet to be compensated, like he said. Now, the person he appointed as the Minister for Agriculture, Mithika Franklin Linturi, for a very long time said there was no fake fertilizer. And in fact, he said it was substandard, but there's no difference. That's fake fertilizer. Now, Wamboka took a bill to Parliament, an impeachment motion. 149 MPs voted for it, 36, voted against it. It went to the committee. They're supposed to table their report today.
We already know the outcome.
But as we speak, it is alleged that 7 MPs of the 11 in that particular committee have voted to support, and of course against, to support Linturi and voted against that particular impeachment motion. Now, you don't believe that, because of the 7, there are a majority of them from the ruling party, the UDA party.
All of them, not a majority. All of them.
You don't, the 4 from the opposition, because UDA brought in 5 members.
Yes.
Jubilee 1 member, and then Azimio brought.
They're all working for UDA.
Now, what do you make of that? Because we are talking about something that it is not official, but word has it that 7 members have voted against the impeachment. First of all, if that is the case, what does that mean for the Kenyan farmer? Because there are millions of Kenyan farmers out here, and Kenya is a country that really depends on agriculture. You'd say agriculture is the backbone of the Kenyan economy.
When we started this discussion and I mentioned the word rewarding, my brother Agaro jumped through the roof. Who are the CSs? Who are the CSs in this government? What political positions were they running into 2022? What happened? Linturi was running as a candidate for office in Meru. He was fraud by one lady called Mwagaza. The CS education went to Kisii. He was fraud by somebody. Literally. Name every CS who is seated on that position. Who was not rewarded.
In fact, even the health CS wanted to be the governor of Trans Nzoia County.
This is it, 100%. So literally, it was rewarding, not competence. So when they were rewarded, then one gentleman from Meru was given the docket of the for agriculture. And in this room, several mornings, we have said about legitimacy of some persons holding that office, several offices, including and excluding. Let us not revisit that discussion. Way back when we had the NYS scandal, one gentleman who was an MP for Tharaka, by the name, the same person, Lidika Minturi, decided to fix one lady from the mountain called Anmobi Waigoro on the issue of the NYS. And he brought the motion in Parliament, but then he was the MP. And Waigoro Must Go the song of Waigoro Must Go came up. The same scenario that we're having today was replayed, and select committee was appointed, and he was there. What happened, Ian?
The day was supposed to come, he was in Naivasha.
All of them were booked in a fancy hotel in Mombasa.
There was a delegation. It was a
delegation was
with an MP from somewhere.
With an MP, no names, and a package was to be delivered to Mombasa. The delivery of that package rerouted to Naivasha. That is a short story of the agriculture CS, Bidika Linturi. So, the president, like what Mugai was telling us, decided to change tune, bringing the issue of leading the acting on timing again, reading the mode of the Kenyans by then, because we had the issue of the doctors. We needed to divert the attention of the doctors on the strike, return emotion here in Turi, let us impeach this gentleman. But remember, he was a rewardee of the appointer. And who was the appointer? The president of this country. So they had their own MOUs. Ukifuruta kapeti yangu hata mimi nitafuruta kapeti yako. So when Linturi was called, he started drafting in parliament, saying apana hii hata haikuwa fertilizer. This was a soil compound. He brought in a lot of several.
He shifted goalposts several times.
Severally. And when he was given samples, he said, "Nyinyi hata hamna macho. You're not seeing the real things." He is fertilizer. He is bolea. It is a soil compound.
To treat the soil. To treat the soil.
To treat the soil. The 7 members of then the deputy county, the deputy the deputy governor Meru brought in a delegation of readers from Meru, saying you are fixing our son. So literally, this game of the fake fertilizer was never to be. Wajiku bebeni msalaba yenu.
Then let me add for you. The parliamentarians wanted to bring specialists from other places. Then it was shut down.
It was shut down.
Because they would have taken that fertilizer now for analysis and bring the document. Okay. So they shut it down so that they bring the
Ian from the word go, there was no goodwill. Let us write that in capital letters. There was no goodwill. All this was managing this issue so that the MPs walipoleta hii story walikuwa wanataka Linturi awagalie awabie kitu. So when the motion moved now from a very basic information to very serious discussion, the story of Anmobu Igoro and a package was delivered. So Wajiko was left to herself. So the issue of food security in this country, Kebu, we are suffering. Kebu, we are suffering today because of bad fertilizer, bad fake seeds. Most of our maize seedlings are about 2 foot high. This season round, hatuna maidi because of the fake fertilizer and the fake seeds. So history yote ilikuwa ni kipindi. There was literally no commitment from this government.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes.
Mr. Mungai, if at all, the scenario is as we know as per now, and that Linturi will not be impeached, because him being impeached lies on whether the committee will, vote in support of the motion, so that the entire House will now decide. Farmers at the end of the day have suffered. Millions of farmers, thousands, if you don't want to say that bought the fertilizer and they were sold fake fertilizer too, and that will affect the produce at the end of the day. If he's saved, who do we hold responsible? Do we hold the president responsible?
When I was seated listening to Ragalo and Joyce, I remember.
I have not talked.
No, you've been talking. It's you today. Today
I've not talked on fertilizer. It's okay.
Anger. I am not prone to getting angry, but I remember the Otieno Kajwang with a lot of nostalgia.
You've taken the same tea.
When he used to sing Vijana Musilale, Bado Mapambano. I remembered him with nostalgia because there is a lot of Mapambano to be done. How Linturi managed to turn an impeachment process based on fake fertilizer to a Marito affair is a story of legends. Like 3/4 of the discussion was on Marito affairs, not on fertilizer. And I can tell you, based on those Marito affairs, the man will walk scot-free. I can tell you for a fact, money. In this economy, and after all those rains, everyone needs a coin or two. And if you've sold fake fertilizer, it means you must be having money. That means, and we know our parliamentarians, they are not saints, so to speak. I would say that this one for Linturi is gone. I myself, on this show last week, I supported his ouster, but part of eating humble pie is to accept that your predictions sometimes do not always come true. As to your question as who the buck stops with or who will carry the cross, the farmers will carry the cross. It is up to them to go and decide what they will do with the fake fertilizer. It is up to them if plants don't yield anything. I mean, that's their problem. It's not government problems. If Ian your parents bought fake fertilizer, it's their problem. If my parents bought fake fertilizer, it is their problem. It is not a problem of the government or a problem of Linturi. As to compensation, they can go look for the closest transformer and hug it.
And hang them and hug it.
Fair enough, Mr. Regalo. It is a matter that, you know, affects millions of Kenyans. And
even me.
And I'm here today. I'll tell you what, guys. I'm here today because of, you know, farming. My dad is a farmer, and I'm here today because it is what took me to school. But we cannot really, you know, just look at it and talk about it, and at the end of the day, we know farmers will pay the price, but nobody will talk about it. Nobody will be held accountable. But does it leave the president with an egg on his face?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Actually, I'm absolving RUTO from this. When we had mercuried sugar,
yes,
we took it. Whoever is dying of cancer today, shauri yake. I'm sorry to use that blunt word. When we took maize infested with, what do you call this?
The GMOs?
No, not GMO. There's this disease in the maize that affects our body.
The toxin.
Aflatoxicity maize.
Yeah.
Whoever had yellow eyes and got healed, wait for cancer, because that's an obvious cancer case. Talking from science, okay? Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because everything boils down to chapter 6. You as a Kenyan, do you love yourself when you're going to vote? If you do love yourself, vote the right leaders. You know them. You know them. Because you bury your head in the sand and vote money, because you bury your head in the sand and vote ethnicity, because you bury your head and vote with your heart, not your head, because the heart can love, but the head thinks, am I going to a right place? It's your problem. Why am I saying this? We had integrity issue from the word go. Mom has said it nicely. You knew we are not having a good person, but this is the person we have. So what? When I saw Parliament not doing a sitting of a whole house, reducing it to the committee stage, I knew this was saved. Anytime you see a committee of a whole house, no, this is gone. That's how you know. A serious debate in Parliament is a committee of the whole house. How? When they are passing their salaries in Parliament, nobody sleeps. Nobody moves out. It is a committee of a whole house, and they pass it in rocket time. Anything that is not serious is taken to committee, for committee to bring recommendation. The same recommendation, there's no way Parliament will jump it. It is recommendation, so they will pass it because it's a recommendation from the same Parliament. How can God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit antagonize themselves?
Okay, fair enough.
So now, allow me 1 minute. Allow me to read something I wrote, kindly. My heart goes out to the poor farmers who threw away 2,500 buying fake fertilizer under Linturi's watch. Why? People should stand firm in their integrity and values, even when faced with temptation of money after all. Your character and reputation are priceless, Kenyans. Integrity is not negotiable, Kenyans, no matter the offer. Please, no matter the offer, Kenyans. Stay true to your principle and belief, even in the face of financial gain, Kenyans. Choose honesty and fairness over wealth, Kenyans. Let truth and justice guide your action, not the allure of money, Kenyans. Uphold your morals and ethics. They are more valuable than any material possession to you, Kenyans. And then lastly, in the end, Kenyans, it is integrity and peace of mind that truly matters. This is what Kenyans lost.
Okay.
So they are paying the price.
Fair
so
enough.
whatever will happen to us, it is us who should bear the cost. It's not RUTO. RUTO gave Linturi the job to do the right thing. If you're doing the wrong thing, do you want to tell me RUTO ndiye ameambia Linturi atupatie fertilizer fake? If it is RUTO, then it is RUTO, then ameambia Linturi wapatie sand umeweka mavi ya punda.
Now, thank you.
Kama si RUTO amefanya hivyo, then tunakula ujeuri wetu. And the easier word is, let us suffer our iniquity, Kenyans.
Fair enough. As we wind up, I'll give each and every one of you a minute. Kindly, a minute.
Yes.
Starting with you, Joyce. You know, you're parting short, and as well, I want to presume all of you are parents. Students are going back to school today, but you know, there are schools that are currently dilapidated. They've not been renovated, and they will not be reopening because they're yet to be renovated. And just for the context is that 10,000 students in Busia, especially the area surrounding Budalangi, will not be going to school as their peers are going to school today. The government says it will extend the second term, but now, from where do they calculate? Do they extend it from today, that very many schools have reopened, or from the time that all the students across the country will be going to school, because they said they will not be reopening schools that have been marooned by floods and they're yet to be renovated? What do you make of the situation as you wind up? 1 minute, kindly.
Thank you, Ian. I will not want to digress for what you've asked, but only as a rejoinder to what my brother Agaro today have said. Chapter 6 of our Constitution, the road of bad manners. This is the CEO of Parliamentary Service Commission. The budget hours, the bills were inflated from 5 billion to something else.
9.6.
This is it. When he was in Tokyo again, he sold our embassy. So Kenyans have deliberately closed their eyes not to see the road of evils. So when the super CS of education, to me, who is another cabinet failure, says he's extend the corridor. Today, 10,000 students are not reporting. Assuming that he'll appropriate, say, 1 week in second term and 1 week in third term, we do not know the fate of the 10,000 kids when they will report school.
That 10,000 is only in Budalangi.
In Budalangi, yes. And it has not even been in touch in Tana River, because Tana River is another area that have been grossly affected. To me, it's about leadership. That we have poor leadership in the cabinet CS, the CS education. Severally, he has failed us in the past. And even now, he's only compounding what we know that he's a failure. Okay. Look at the issue of capitation iron, as I conclude. Look at the issue of capitation iron. Under his watch, it was brought down from 22,000 to 17,000 for per student. And yet, even for the year 2023, that amount of money have not been taken to school. Okay. So again, we are looking into a corporate poor leader over CS education. Thank you.
Fair enough. Mr. Mungai.
I think for me is to wish the students that are going to school the very best. Sometimes when you run a country, it becomes very difficult to make decisions as to whether to open schools or not. There are areas that children can actually go to school. There are areas, as you've rightly mentioned, such as Budalangi, where students will, so to speak, they have no place to call school. But all in all is to say that I wish them safe travels, and especially in areas where they are prone to accidents, to request drivers to exercise caution. But most importantly is for the government to make concerted effort to make sure that the students whose infrastructure has been destroyed, the government finds them an alternative and quickly steps in to make sure that our own children can learn. Having said that is to wish them the very best and to wish also viewers a very nice week ahead. I want to beseech them to continue praying and ask God to give them resources so that when we come to June and the budget is passed, they will have enough money to pay taxes.
Thank you very much. Mr. Regalo, 1 minute, kindly.
I want to wish the students, pupils, and everybody going to school a good time in school. It's going to be a tough term, and it's going to be the measurable term for KCSE and all the people doing their national examinations. The calamities are calamities. There's nothing you can do about it. Where it is touched, we need to look on how to take care of the students and pupils. If they're going to go to double schools with other schools, fine. They have to be educated. So government should work in speed to make sure no child is not going to school. My second issue and the last one is Article 118(1) Part B talks of constitution talks of facilitating public participation. I wish Kenyans to check on obvious thing, why alcohol in Kenya breweries was reduced from 250 to 142. What did Kenya breweries do to the government to reduce alcohol that cheaply? Because that's a lot of money reduction, over 90 shillings. Towards 90 shillings reduction on one chupa of Tusker, and remove taxation to bread and return bread into our pocket. It was that fair? So should we, which is more important, alcohol? So we are going to fight alcohol and make still our Kenya our alcohol nation. So what was Gachagua doing? What was Gachagua doing initially? So if you put alcohol at 145 from 250, bread at 10 bob. So people who can't afford bread must afford alcohol, so become alcohol nation. So what were we doing?
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Regalo, Joyce, and Mr. Mungai for gracing this particular show this morning. That was the conversation for you this particular morning here on the Morning Drift. And of course, we'll be keeping tab with various stories for you today. Top among them is the hearing or the special sitting by the National Assembly of the impeachment of Franklin Mithika Linturi as the CS for Agriculture. And as well, we'll try and look at the situation in the country in terms of students reporting what will be the situation on Kenyan roads, even as they resume their second term in readiness for the national examinations scheduled for November this year. Until then, of course, you can keep it Lookuptv. You can visit our website www.lookuptv.co.ke just to get an overview of the stories making headlines not only in the country but as well across the borders. Do have yourself a wonderful day, and like always, God bless.